Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to After the Credits, number 80, episode 80.
Oh,
It's
wow.
crazy.
We're inching closer and closer to that big 100.
Big 100, which I've been trying to think about lately. I was like, what the heck are we possibly going to do for episode 100? What are we?
100-hour stream.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. We have to binge watch every show we've ever watched. Because, like, ideally, that would be it. It was like, oh, well, let's rank all the shows, but we
We've
kind
done
of do
so
that in
many.
December.
Yeah, well, I mean, but honestly, that would be how maybe like we think of like a pool, right? So each of us picks like I don't know 5 or 10 shows that we've covered specifically on here together, or that have aired
Sure.
during the duration of the show, and
Sure.
then we rank them all
Sure.
together.
We could do like a battle bracket too, where like each
Okay.
round it like picks two and you have to choose in between the
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
But like we do that in like December anyway. Like I
Yeah.
could realistically be like, well, let's move it up like a couple weeks. Do it like a
That's
couple
true.
weeks early or something. And then just like it's tough with this show because pipeline, it's like each week is a different topic anyway. So it could be like, okay,
Yeah.
this week's topic is special. This show we have like commitments depending
Right.
on what's airing at the time.
And I don't even know what's going to be airing at that point. That takes us to what, like November, I
It's
think?
November 18th if we never miss another episode.
Okay. Okay.
So
We could technically we could push it to December if there's like a gap potentially.
we just don't stream
we
because
we
we
just
want to
don't
wait.
yeah, exactly. We just like all right, we're going to take a break from 99 and then episode 100 is right in December, so then it lines up with the ranking and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could also just move it up a
We
little
just
bit.
like don't number the episodes. Like we keep going. It's like this is episode blank because we're
Oh no, episode 99.1, episode 99.2, 99.3 until we can
99
it's like
the sequel. Yeah.
yeah, episode 99.2.
Trying to figure out like what's airing at that time because I know Stranger Things is gonna be a pain in the ass when that comes out. When they're 3 ass like premiere dates that we're gonna have to go around. Like Christmas
Oh
is gonna be a
god.
pain.
Isn't it Wonder Man around that time?
It's December.
Oh, that's December. Okay.
December's packed. December has a lot in it because there's Stranger Things, there's Wonder Man, Percy Jackson.
Which I have not seen. I was a fan of the original movies. Have not seen the new series.
Sure, that's pretty easy to jump on. That's like
oh yeah, I think it's one season so far.
One season, like 8, like 20, 30-minute episodes.
Oh, so, that's not bad at all. That's not bad at all.
That's a road. There's a couple shows for like the rest of this year I've thought about pitching to you. Like, all right, I'll wait.
Okay.
I'll wait.
Yeah.
I'll pitch one now just because it's fun.
Okay.
Alien comes out next month, and I'm thinking that could be fun because it's the first in like a continuity. Like, it's a prequel to like all the movies. So I was like, oh, maybe
that's
I
on like
can,
Hulu, right?
It's like Hulu, Disney Plus, like it's
okay.
part of the like FX thing. And I was like, maybe I can go through binge the movies, and we can be like, all right, now I know everything. He doesn't kind of thing because you haven't seen the movies, right?
I've seen like bits and pieces of. I mean, yeah, like the Alien franchise is very very well known as
very
far
famous,
as that goes.
yeah.
Like I feel like that's one of those movies that like it's late at night, I'm sitting down there, trying to figure out what show to watch, what movie to watch. My dad's like, oh, hey, like the last 30 minutes of Alien is on. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, let's watch this. Like, but I've never sat there and watched it from the beginning. So that would be fun. That would be fun.
Yeah, I've seen the first two. And with like, it's seeming like there's a huge like renaissance with both Alien and Predator right now. Like Predator has 2 movies this year. Alien has that show. We're doing a sequel to Romulus. So I was like, I kind of want to get in on this franchise because I did Predator, that like animated movie that came out a couple like last month.
Was it Killer of Killers or something?
Killer of Killers. I had never seen one. I was like, this is incredible. As just this little thing, I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, no, Predator's good. Predator's good. I have seen that, the original.
Interesting. Yeah, so that's next month is kind of packed for shows. Like these last couple have been a little slow, but next month we have Peacemaker, we have Wednesday, we have Eyes of Wakanda, and then we have Alien. So it's like that's going to be a packed month as well. But yeah, no, we actually have a really, really fun stream
Yeah,
in plan
I'm excited.
today.
I've been
Me
looking
too.
forward to this all weekend, honestly.
Me too. Yeah, I mean, we're obviously going to be continuing our little Dexter journey on here. I finished season 6 and 7 right in the nick of time.
Yes.
To the point where we are 40 minutes late because me and Taz sat in here in the lobby and watched me watch the last like 10 minutes of the episode, which was very fun.
Yes.
Obviously, we're going to be wrapping up Ironheart, the episodes 4, 5, and 6. What is now being called the series finale of Ironheart. Cross your fingers, hopefully.
Wait, have they actually branded it as series finale?
They haven't branded it, but it's titled a mini series right now. It's under like mini series label. And I think with like a lot of these Disney Plus shows, I kind of assume it's a one and done unless we hear
otherwise.
Yeah. I hope I'm wrong. I'm almost guarantee you that's probably not getting
yeah. I mean, we can go all into it, but I don't see there really being a season 2. I think the more likely options are spin-off shows, characters showing up in other projects / Avengers / potentially a movie, maybe. But not necessarily specifically focused on Ironheart, maybe something that we haven't heard of just yet.
Yeah, I have thoughts. I think this is setting up stuff. I have thoughts on that, but that can wait for a bit later.
Yeah.
And we're also doing a MCU Phase 5 ranking. Ironheart was the wrap-up of the MCU Phase 5, which is crazy. I know you haven't seen everything, Taz, but I think you've seen most.
I've seen most things. Yeah, I did a little catching up this. Yeah, did a little bit of catching up. Still did not get a chance to see Thunderbolts. I was very, very close to just spending the $30 and buying it digitally, but I stuck to my guns. I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna need that $30 for Superman this week. So, because that's probably how expensive an IMAX ticket's gonna be. And by the way, just for fun, so I haven't gotten my tickets yet for Superman because I don't know when I'm gonna be going. It's either gonna be Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday morning, somewhere within this weekend. Just checking in my area as far as like the normal theater that I go to. Primetime showing Friday at like 7:30, 7:40 or something like that. There is like 2/3 of the theater is unbooked at this point, and that's for like the primetime IMAX on the release night. Like that's kind of insane to me, and that slightly worries me. I know, again, I haven't bought my tickets yet, but that slightly worries me that this movie is not gonna perform as well as it needs to or should. But that is yet to be seen.
Sure. I kind of don't want to talk about box office shit because I've talked about box office for these 3 movies that are out right now, or about to come out for so long. But I think it comes down to word of mouth for Superman. I think it's really, I think it's going to do really well opening weekend, and it's going to come down to word of mouth for that movie. But no, we're going to be doing that. I went to the, like, speaking of theaters, I planned to do a double feature this last week. I was like, all right, I'm going to do Jurassic World, and I'm going to do Elio, that new Pixar movie. Power went out. I saw Jurassic World. During Elio, the power went out. And
you've had such bad movie theater luck recently. Like, what's going on here?
I have. And, like, that's such a weird experience because that's the second time that's happened to me within the last 6 years, where the power went out during a movie theater while the movie was going. And it's always such a, like, everyone reacts so differently. Last time it was fine because it was COVID and I was the only one in there, and no one even came in to tell me, like, whatever. This time it was full of children. It was full of like family and children's, and all the kids are like freaking out. They're like, what's happening? What's happening? So I got a free admission ticket now. I can come back anytime and watch any movie I want, which
use that for Superman.
I'm going to use that. I don't need it because I have a membership with my theater. I just show them my phone. I can walk in, but I can give it to like my mom. It's like, all right, here's your Superman ticket, Mom.
That's awesome.
Here's your free box office ticket that you can go see.
That's nice. That's nice.
It is nice. But let's just jump into everything today because we do have. Actually, let me read some of these comments first, and then we'll get to that. Keyblade Jeffrey, not Jeff. I've learned my lesson, Jeffrey. Ironheart was good. Taz does not understand that reference, and that's okay.
No, I don't.
I called him Jeff on the Party Nation stream tonight, and everyone's like, "How dare you? His name is Jeffrey." I was like, "I'm sorry, Jeffrey. It's my fault."
So informal.
Yes. Didn't see that ending coming. Hopefully, we get more before Doomsday, but I doubt it. I don't think we'll get more before Doomsday, but we will talk about that.
Yeah.
Naruto, how's it going, buddy? How are you?
Hello.
Tess says, I hope so too, but it doesn't seem likely at this point. Oh, in terms of the Doomsday.
Yeah.
Naruto, how is your Doctor Who journey going? Haven't watched any more since the last time you asked, unfortunately. Me and my mom haven't watched much of anything together in the last month or so. So, but we'll get to it. I'm very excited to hop into more Matt Smith. I really am. 1 billion hour stream? Maybe. Who knows? I heard Killer of Killers is good. It is good. It's very, very, very good. It's in my top 3 or 4 of this year so far, I think. Can't wait for Wednesday and Percy Jackson and Stranger Things. Agreed. I'm out of these 3. Do you have one that you're excited for? Or I guess you're only. Actually, I guess you're not watching any of these.
Yeah, I'm not currently watching any of them. I guess the one that I'm the most excited to watch, I've heard really good things about Wednesday. So I'm excited to see that.
I think you'll like Wednesday because at its core it is a murder mystery show, and I feel like you've been into those
I do like that.
You've been into those crime shows recently.
Yeah.
Lucifer and Dexter, so Wednesday might be up your aisle.
Yeah, and it from what I've seen, it almost looks somewhat reminiscent of the earlier Riverdale seasons in a weird way.
Yeah, it's like Riverdale meets Addams Family, I guess would be the best.
Okay.
It's fun.
Yeah. All right, I'm down.
The good side of Riverdale, I should say, the vibes of Riverdale that I enjoy, and not necessarily the
not the crazy.
Some of it's a little cringe, there'll be a cringy line of dialogue every once in a while. I was like, oh, all right, come on, but most of it's pretty good. Don't be wrong, Darren. Me too. What if Riri is in Blade? I feel like that'd be even worse for her because then we're never going to see her again.
What I was gonna say, what if Blade actually releases?
I think we're better. I think there's other projects that's more likely for her to be in, just because Blade is not on the horizon anytime soon.
Yeah, and she does not really. I mean, maybe. No, not really.
I don't.
She doesn't really strike me as a Midnight Suns kind of character at all. Really.
There's another team up project that I think she's more likely.
Yes.
For.
Yeah.
What up, Ronan? How's it going, buddy? How's it going?
Hello.
But we're going to be jumping right into the stream. Today we're watching Dexter, or we're going to be talking about Dexter first. And I do apologize because I know that's not what everyone is here to talk about first, but I want to kind of get that done first, and then we can spend the rest of the stream talk about Ironheart and rankings as much as we want, because I know those are going to be the more longer-winded conversations. I kept my word. Because last week I said I was going to finish the whole show. Which was always a long shot. That was always a pretty long to do 3.5 seasons of TV in a week.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Yeah. But I think you're in a good spot. You've got the final season of the original show left, plus New Blood to watch, and then the 2 episodes of Resurrection that drop this Friday. This week is the week, as Dexter would say.
Yes. I'll have. I counted it. I think it's 24 episodes I have to watch in a week. Which, is a good number of episodes, but it's
doable.
It's doable.
Yeah.
This week's plan will just be Dexter and Superman. And that's kind of, that's going to have to be it for this week, unfortunately.
The Super Dexter week. Week.
By the way, the audacity to have it come out on the same day is kind of insane.
Yeah, well, and like I said, I think I brought this up last week, the amount of memes that I've seen of people July 11th, Superman Day, and it's or what everybody's going to be watching Superman, what I'm going to be watching, and it's just Dexter.
Is it Super Dexter or Dexter Man?
Dexter Man. I don't know. I would, or Super Morgan.
Ooh.
Super Morgan, fun. How about that? Yeah, I think that would be good. But I know that I will be watching Dexter first. That's just me. Don't shoot the messenger.
I'm not going until Friday, unfortunately. And maybe we can do some Superman final prep at the very, 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 very end here if we have extra time. But I'm not going till Friday. So I think after today, I'm kind of going dark on the internet.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the review embargo drops like
Tonight.
now.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think
out.
if I scroll through Twitter, I think there's gonna probably be reviews like out now or soon.
I'm okay with review embargoes, but I think tomorrow I might just like delete Twitter for the week because I don't want to know anything like physical. Like I kind of don't want to see anything big on that movie.
Yeah, I get that.
But yeah, okay. So Dexter season 6 and season 7, which we're in the era now. I will say that people warned me about for years.
Yes,
and I think these seasons of TV are always very interesting for me because I am someone who always leans a bit more positive on these like very like negative seasons of TV, especially when I'm binging it because I don't have that like that history with the show. We're not breaking this down weekly. Like I'm always more critical on weekly shows than I am binge shows. That's just how my brain works. I can't compress all the things I dislike. It kind of just bundles up into one thing. So it's interesting seeing like, okay, why did people quit the show? Why did people stop watching it? What did they not like? And starting with season 6. I get it. I really do get it.
Yeah. So you knew going into this that season 6 was my least favorite. Like I made that fairly clear. And I don't really think it's specifically for one reason. I think it's a lot of little things that not necessarily that they changed, but different directions that they decided to go down. Like there were certain storylines, there were certain elements, certain ways that they presented the villain and presented just the theme of this season that didn't really mesh for me, and it felt in a lot of ways like a different show. Like season 6 the big bad is the Doomsday Killer. Played by, I didn't even realize this when I was watching the show until my mom pointed it out, and I feel very stupid, but it's Tom Hanks' son.
Oh,
that's who he is.
That's interesting because the whole time he reminded me of someone, but it was like I don't think it was anyone that I knew.
Yes. And I was like he looks familiar, but I don't know who he is. But yeah, I think it's like Colin Hanks or something like that, I believe.
Whoa, cool. Hell yeah.
Tom Hanks' son, what is it? Tom Hanks' son, or who is it? Did I say that wrong? Hold on.
I would believe you if it was Tom Hanks' son because it looks like him.
Yeah, Colin Hanks. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm correct. Colin Hanks. Tom Hanks' son. And again, I did not realize that when I was actually watching through this season. And like you said, I was like, he looks familiar. He seems like somebody I should know. But then I look back and I'm like, okay, like that's a cool element. But it doesn't save the season. Like I think there's two pieces that are redeeming for me. Well, three pieces of this season that are redeeming for me. Number one, the twist that the Doomsday Killer had his own dark passenger, and the fact that he was the only one interacting with the professor and everything like that, and I didn't pick up on the fact that
good twist. Yeah.
Yes, is that mirror to Dexter and Harry. So I liked that a lot.
I also liked that quite a bit. Like it
makes you look at the show in a different perspective.
I'm always a big fan of those twists. Like it's such a common twist at this point, but like it always gets me. I'm always a big fan of like, oh, this thing was in their head, and you've been viewing this whole season differently, and now you almost want to rewatch the entire season.
It's like, pick up on these little things of like, okay, didn't interact here, or like, how did this actually play out, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and like we talked about kind of like the bad elements of last last week, and I definitely agree it gets better once that twist happens.
Yeah.
I still think he's my least favorite villain of the show. I guess season 7's a bit hard because I feel like there's not like a clear cut villain like there is every other season. We can talk about that once we get to season 7. But yeah, I still think he's the weakest, but I do really like the religious themes, even if they're not played to the elements I think they probably should be. I really do like Dexter kind of like re-examining his faith and like what
Yes.
happens to me after I die and what am I leaving my legacy. And he's someone that like, okay, maybe can this be for me? Like there's that scene when he's like, I think he's like talking to like the priest or whatever. The old priest. It's not really. Everyone's like, yeah, just like confess your sins and you can be forgiven. He's like, wait, I can do that.
I could do that.
Like, can I just go kill all these people and then come back and do this thing and I'll be good to go to hell?
Yeah,
like that's a very interesting.
It's like, no, Dexter doesn't really work like that, but like,
right.
You know.
Yeah, but it's definitely a very interesting element, even if
it was an interesting perspective, a different spin on what we've been seeing, and I think too another element that I really liked was Brother Sam early on. I think he was a really good friend for Dexter, a good character for him to bounce ideas off of, and somebody who has kind of gone down that darker path and come back from it and made a better life because of it. And Dexter sees, oh, like maybe there is another way. But when Brother Sam ends up not making it through this season, then Dexter's like, all right, screw this. I'm full on going down my dark path, dark passenger all the way. And that's where we get, Biney coming back. So that was my favorite episode. Favorite episode of the season.
I liked that episode. I don't think I loved it as much as you. And I think it's because I'm realizing I don't like him as a character as much as you. Like I like him, but I'm not like, I don't know. I wasn't as I mean, I said this like weeks ago. I wanted more from him before he died. Like I wanted more build up to that whole thing. I like him. I think he's the right actor. I'm excited for him to come back for Resurrections, right? Like that's going to be very fun.
Not confirmed, but like all but it's not officially confirmed, but it's like 99.7% confirmed.
It's been not the whole cast, but it seems like a lot of the major players are.
So, a conversation I had with my mom, kind of sipping Sunday coffee, talking about our Dexter theories.
Hell yeah.
And so there were interviews that came out during the promotion for Original Sin, and they brought back a lot of original cast members. And in my mind, I was like, okay, any cast member that came back for this interview is on the table to come back for Resurrection. And a lot of those cast members that came back for those interviews have been confirmed / rumored to appear in Resurrection.
Interesting.
There's a couple people that have shown up there that are not checked off the list just yet, but that list keeps growing every day. And also, Resurrection is meant to be a multi-season plan. So just because one character doesn't show up in season 1 doesn't mean they're not going to show up in season 2 or 3 or 4 and so on.
Do you think it's actually going to get multiple seasons? Because I almost had the thought of like, what if they did a new show for every season? You know what I mean? Kind of like what they did with New Blood. Because New Blood was kind of weird to me because like it seemed like they wanted to do season 2 of New Blood. Everyone else wanted it seemingly, and then they just never did it. And then a couple seasons later, they announced this.
From what I understand, the reason New Blood happened was a very similar, like, kind of, okay, we're all kind of bored now. The show's been off for a while. It was during, pandemic times and everything like that. So they're like, all right, let's bring the show back, maybe give it a more satisfying ending. And the reception at the end of New Blood, I think it's changed over the years. I think I like it a lot more than people did when they first watched it.
I know a lot of people hate it.
Yeah, so I think what they're doing with Resurrection is wiping the slate clean. They're like, okay, New Blood didn't necessarily work the way that we wanted it to, so let's call that kind of like a bridging season, a kind of one-off mini-series to kind of get the ball rolling, try to see if there's any interest, and then now Resurrection is like the new thing. Like, that's the new main show. They are resurrecting the character and the series. And, it means a lot more than just that. but they're bringing back this show that was off the air for 15 years,
Right.
and trying to go about it in a different way. And I think that's why
Fair.
Resurrection stays. Like, I don't think we're gonna get a subtitle for each season.
Right. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Do you think they'll stay? I shouldn't know this yet, but do you think they'll stay in New York for the whole thing?
No.
Do you think we'll have like each season
No.
will go to like a different city or whatever?
I think it's gonna be a different location.
Oh,
every season. I think they're gonna take that page from You in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
I think that would be very fun because we're stuck in Miami the whole late season.
I'm going to miss Miami though. I'm already.
Oh no, I like Miami too. Like, honestly, I've been thinking about it. I want to go to Miami. I want to like visit all of these locations. Like, I think that would be really fun. Do a vlog live from Miami.
Yeah, we'll see. Naruto says, Darren, in the Dexter books, one thing I'm glad the show didn't do in the books was make his kids sidekicks. Yeah, that sounds kind of crazy.
Yeah. So by the way, keep reminding me. I have a thread saved of differences between the show and the books.
We'll do that in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. Very fun. But yeah, season 6 was, I just think, a different. It did definitely feel like their Arrow season 4 in terms of like, not to that level. I think their season 6 is much better than Arrow season 4, obviously. But like, I think in terms of like its switch up in tone, right? It feels kind of like a different vibe going into the season 6. So like, I don't hate it. I think it's very easily the weakest writing, the weakest, dialogue, the weakest plots. There's episodes I liked in here. Like, I really enjoyed the school reunion episode where Dexter has to meet all his old classmates.
Yeah.
But like, even that episode,
and that's where we get the little dance meme.
Yeah. No, it's, I'm trying to think back because now I'm like, these seasons are blending so much to me. I'm watching them so close together. I'm like, wait, what was season 6? What was season
5? To me, again, season 6 only had a few very important elements, right? It's Brother Sam. It is Dexter and his road trip with Brian, or with Dark Passenger Brian. Figuring out who Doomsday really is. Saving Harrison. And Deb finds out who Dexter truly is at the end.
Yeah.
And I think that finale is great. I think
that finale is really good.
It doesn't save the whole season, but again, I think finale combined with Brian road trip episode combined with Brother Sam and some decent some decent imagery there. The fun twist. I think that makes for an enjoyable enough season. It's passable. Like, again, it is my least favorite season. That doesn't necessarily mean it's bad.
Yeah.
But it's my least favorite season of the show, including New Blood and Original Sin in my rankings.
Well, everything right now is kind of Brother Sam's fault, isn't it? Like everything that's going on now, it's like it's made him break his code. It threw him off the case, and now debut and everything that happened in season 7. It's a snowball effect. It's because he broke those rules.
But it's also because Dexter won't kill somebody right when he has the chance. Yeah. Like, if he would have killed Doomsday right when he had the opportunity to, like, none of this would have happened.
You're right.
None of this would have happened. But again, I do like the ending. I like when Travis is on the table and he's like, and he's to Dexter's like, "Who are you?" And I like the sort of like, "I am a father, a son, a serial killer." That's kind of like, that is the start of so many edits.
I gotta be honest, I really cringed at that line.
Really?
I was like, oh no.
I thought it was very fitting. I think, again, it's like Dexter would think that that's a cool thing to say, even though it's ridiculous. But I think it's fun. It's funny.
It is very funny.
It leans into the camp a little bit.
And then season 7. Season 7, I think, I think the show needed a big status quo change. I think it desperately needed that. And I called it in season 5. I was like, it either happened season 5 or season 6 that like Deb finds out. I was like, Deb is going to find out before everyone else. I feel like I called that pretty early, or like, I guess I thought it was ultimately going to be her that turns him in. Like, I always thought like the show ends with Deb finding out and having to choose if she wants to turn him in or let him go. Like, I always thought that was going to be like the like finale moment or something, or like the final.
Well, she did have to choose.
She did have to choose. And yeah, this season, I kind of love that we get to sit in Deb's knowingness. I think this arc for her this season was so... Outside of one thing in season 6 and 7, Deb has been really, really strong in these last 2 seasons. Like, she has easily been the MVP. She's been so good, like giving her that like leadership role. And we can talk about that thing in a second. But like, I thought like her, especially this season, I think this might be her strongest season in my opinion so far.
Yeah.
But just this like, how do I balance these 2 lives and how different they are, but yet how slightly similar they also are in how they view their work and their work ethic and what they're willing to do. And they're quite similar once you kind of boil it all down. And of course, I just finished it, so some of my opinions are probably like
fully formulated yet. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I do like the ending there of like, you have to choose, and what does she choose? And I did think it was going to go the other way. I honestly really thought the season ended with him going to prison, like with them catching him.
Oh, interesting.
And I thought it was going to be Prison Break. I thought it was going to be, or you know, it would be awesome if he's like in the like jail cell taking out people, and you're like, where are these people going? They're like, who is killing these people in prison?
Who's killing all the criminals?
He's like, well, what better place to find bad people than prison? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of would have been cool. I mean, like, what did you think was gonna happen? Like in those final moments, like
yeah. So, like, I didn't realize that was where we were going until we got there when I was first watching it. Like, I had, like, going into it, I knew that this was going to be the season that, like, LaGuerta got very suspicious and very much so kind of went down the rabbit hole of looking into Dexter and his background and trying to connect a lot of those pieces. It does, in some ways, create a lot of plot holes. Because there are certain things that she's like just kind of discovering that seemed like kind of common knowledge for a while, or things that she should have questioned earlier, I think, in a lot of ways. But it also kind of showed you too how Dexter got very comfortable. Is after taking care of Dokes, he was like, all right, everybody else in the department is too stupid to realize they're working with a serial killer. I can just kind of chill, do my thing, and just go about my business.
Yeah.
I did really like kind of the moments where, you know, LaGuerta brought him in and was like, "Hey, like, you know, you're the Bay Harbor butcher," and everybody's like, "What? Like, dude, you're crazy." Like, no, obviously not. But she wouldn't let it go. She wouldn't let it go, and it ended off costing her her life, which is insane, and it is at the hands of Deb. Like,
I do kind of really like that though, because I
do too.
I really didn't want to watch Dexter going forward where he no longer had that code, and maybe we kind of see that going. I don't know what's gonna happen in these next couple seasons. I have to watch, but like, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch New Blood stuff. He's going like, he already like broke the thing that I've been watching him for. Like, there is that code that makes me love Dexter so much. I was like, I'm not sure if I'm, you know, if I'm into this.
Well, think about it this way though. What is the first rule of the code?
What is the
exactly? So whatever it takes to not get caught. It's not the Assassin's Creed. It's not stay your blade from the innocent. It is don't get caught.
Yeah, but just like as an audience, I was like,
yeah,
I am not against Dexter as I thought I was going to be when starting this show. Like I thought it was going to be a you situation where it's
No, not at all. Not at
clearly
all.
he's a bad guy and I am against him, and like we can argue the like morality of it. Like he still should be caught, right? Obviously, I don't know if we're necessarily against that, right? But it's like I am kind of for 99.9% of the things he does because whatever.
Except for when he does stupid things and lets people go that he shouldn't let go,
right?
Like a certain new serial killer that he meets this season as well.
Sure.
And you messaged me about that. You were like, "God dang it, Dexter!"
I did like before I even started the season because I always look up those season posters. Guys always think they're fun, and I just saw this image of like him sitting with a blonde chick, and I was like, God damn it, Dexter! You did 3 in a row, Dexter. This is like you put those 3 next to each other, they look pretty damn similar.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it today. Maybe that it probably wasn't, but maybe that was on purpose. Like maybe he goes for these women, he falls for these women so easily
because they remind him of Rita in a way.
Subconsciously, he loves them because it reminds him of them and what he almost had with her. Like that to me, I was like, all right. And yes, he was very stupid with her this season. Holy shit! When he almost kills her. When like they're on the table and they start having, I was like,
yeah, dude. I was like, Dex, what are you doing, bro?
Might be one of the silliest things the show has ever. Like that is the closest this show has gotten to like
CW. Yeah, like CW level. That is something that you would see. Yeah. No, it's yeah.
There's a bunch of little stuff like that in like the middle of the season that really does drag it down for me. That middle chunk for me was kind of a drag. It was really like I really liked the first 3, and then like episode 4 through like episode like not 8 to 9, like those 4 to 5 episodes to me were like I am not liking this at all, and I was almost thinking like this is my least favorite season for like a minute. But I think like with the first half and then the last several, I think those last several was the first like what. I think 10 through 12 is the most I've enjoyed.
Yes.
I would say 9 through 12. I think is the most I've enjoyed since season 4. I would say.
Oh wow.
Like those.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Of the season, I think like now I'm kind of like, okay, do I like season 5 or season 7 more? Because now they're on kind of the same bar for me in terms of seasons. So
I will say I like the quote unquote villain of this season a lot.
Okay.
Like
Isaac?
Yeah, Isaac Serco, played by the late Ray Stevenson.
Yes, amazing. Yeah.
Amazing actor. Great to see him in this show, and it was awesome to see him start off as a villain, transition to more so an antagonist, to then a begrudging ally, to then somebody who Dexter kind of appreciated and respected, and they end their journey together like, hey, in another life we could have been friends.
Yeah.
And that is like, that's sad. That's tragic. And I
didn't like him at first. Like I think his first half of the season, I personally found him very boring because we really didn't dive into it yet. I was not vibing with this whole Mavia Quinn.
And Quinn. We'll talk about Quinn in a second.
We'll talk about Quinn. Yeah, but I was like, I'm so bored with this. He's my least favorite villain. And then instantly, once they like do the, I'll be honest. And as soon as I found out that like this was like a gay love story, it kind of completely changed for me because that is like as silly as that sounds. That to me is very interesting. Where it's like, oh, it's a boring mob boss story. It's like, no, this is a mob boss that's been like secretly hiding himself his whole life and had this secret lover, and everything that he does is for love. And I'm like, you know what?
And drawing that parallel to Dexter too is like, what do you do after the person you love is killed?
Yeah. Right. I'm kind of like very instantly. I was like, you know what? Fine, kill Dexter. I get it. Like, I'm like, fair enough, man. I get it. And I was kind of really upset when they killed him off. I was like,
Yeah.
But no. I like him now. And I
Yeah.
feel like they do that a lot, where it's like I start to like the plot lines once they're over, like once we're wrapping
Mm-hmm.
up. I'm like, no. I hated that all season. Now I love it, and it's going away. I
Yeah.
don't like that. But no, I was very interested. I think this season is like remind me a bit of season 2, where like I guess there really isn't like a full on villain of the season. Like Isaac is the the villain, but
I would
he's
almost say the villain of the season is the club owner, or like the mid boss,
or
right? That Quinn is
there's about
is
four.
going up against.
There's a bunch of like antagonists, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah, and there's
obviously
like that League of Assassins that comes in too.
yeah, there's a club owner, there's Isaac, arguably Hannah, arguably
Yeah,
sometimes Deb, arguably Maria,
I
like
was gonna say, all right, yeah, LaGuardia is kind of the villain too.
yeah, like there's a bunch of things, and I think that's good. Like I think they needed to really change up the template in the show. Like,
Yeah,
I think that's actually something that I can give Dexter credit for. Is like no season feels like another. I feel
no,
like
they all feel fresh.
I think the show's never boring, because yeah, every season, that's very impressive when you have a show that runs for 8 seasons. Well, arguably we're going on season 11 in terms of
Yeah,
everything, 11, 12.
well, yeah. I mean,
So
like you can tell me like a season. It's like okay, pick out season 3. Like, what's the
right,
unique element of that? Oh, Dexter is training Miguel to be a just killer like him, or this season 7 is you've got kind of a villain turned ally. Like that doesn't happen at all.
right,
You've got season 4 where Dexter trusts the villain way too much and it backfires on him. Well, that actually kind of happens a lot sometimes, but
yeah.
you know,
We kind of skipped over it, but like, how do you feel about Hannah?
um, that's tough to say.
It's
I
not.
will say
Doesn't seem like it's
in
done yet,
in
right?
the in this season, I didn't love her
Yeah.
originally, but I kind of grew to appreciate the character a little bit
Mhm.
more by the end of the season. And I will continue this conversation with
Next
you
season.
after season 8.
Yeah, it's not wrapped yet, so I'm
No.
curious how it goes.
Yeah.
I didn't love her, but I loved what they did with Dexter with her. I guess I loved seeing how happy Dexter was with her, and I think it's the happiest we see Dexter in. And I do like
Yeah.
that she's kind of this balance of like you said, of the two love interests, where it's just like Rita was the human part, and what is it, Lumen was the killer part, and she's someone
Hmm.
that saw both and accepted both and loved both. And I kind of like that was really really wholesome to me, and I think it's
Yeah.
like it's really interesting to see how far Dexter has come, just like emotionally, that he can let his blinders be turned on. Like I think this makes more sense than the chick from season 2, where it's like
Yeah.
he ignored literally everything in his code
Yeah.
just
Right.
because
Is
he liked
Dexter's like,
her.
okay, I see the warning signs. I see all the reasons why this shouldn't work, but there are some good elements here and it makes Dexter happy and he's like, "All right, well, screw it. Let's try it.
Yeah.
Let's see where this goes." Even if Deb absolutely hates her,
Mm-hmm. And
which
it's
is for a
definitely
couple reasons. Couple
a
reasons.
couple of reasons. Yeah, it's like yeah, your blinders were on, and it's like, but it helps. She has a very charming character, and like, I think just like Lumen, it took me a while because it's very clearly just like, all right, she's there to be the love interest
Yeah,
again.
it's like, all right, another replacement for Rita. Let's see where this
I
goes.
I think out of the three, I still like Lumen the most. Like I think Lumen's
Interesting.
the most.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just like I ended up like liking that character, but like yeah, I'm curious about Hannah though, because it still feels like there's a whole part of her I don't know. I don't know. Like every
Yeah.
time they're together, especially by the end, it kind of felt like she's seeing what she wants Dexter to see, and I think that's
Hmm.
interesting. And maybe I'm wrong on that, but it feels like
You should be a little uneasy still, I feel like.
yeah,
But I think that the most interesting element of that whole relationship is the fact that you have all season Deb telling Dexter, hey, like, you can't kill people. Like, she's basically like his conscience, being like, don't do this, don't kill people. Like, if you have the urge, come talk to me. Like, you have this, murder addiction, basically. And then Hannah comes into play, and she's like, might need you to break that code, dude.
Yeah.
I think that is very interesting, and how it's kind of like okay, well, only when it suits your narrative in a way, right?
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Well, yeah, like I really liked how the season kind of broke the code down and broke everything that Dexter knew has kind of been put to the test.
Yes.
Where on both sides of it, both Rita and Hannah are both like, but why do you do that? It's like, well, it's because of this. It's like, but why? That doesn't make much sense. And it's like, oh, I guess it doesn't make much sense. All right. And I think that's so interesting because he's never had anyone to actually talk about these things with before. And I think for the first time, people know about his secret and he can have a conversation. And again, that kind of goes to the whole thing like we were talking about. I think it was a couple of seasons ago, but it's like if Harry, and this is something that like Deb goes over, it's like if Harry helped him instead of like letting him be and letting that grow, could he have got help? Could he have changed himself? And I think that answer is yes. I think it is.
Yeah. I think you should really, really hold on to that question and continue to ponder it.
Right? Yeah.
Hey Jake, how's it going, buddy?
That's all.
What's up, guys?
How's it going, man?
I'm good. Darren, I approve of the background you got going there.
Oh, the background. Okay, yeah.
And I do like the Green Arrow hat a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I need to get an extra hat, Taz.
I spotted X-Men 97 in the background, and I got smiles.
There's a whole bunch of various shows. I feel like I need to update it though with like new shows that we've covered.
Yeah, I've still got my Dexter Funkos back here, but you can't even see them.
I did get a couple of Funkos while I was actually on vacation this past week.
Well, let's see it, Jake. Let's see
it. Actually have them here beside me. Hold on.
Just for such an occasion, just in case.
Oh, God. Guys, don't get old. Ow.
Yeah, happy birthday, by the way. Happy early birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So first one coming up, I did get Cole Young from Mortal Kombat.
Okay. Very nice.
Very nice.
Second one, this made our friend Canary Katie jealous. Got that one.
Ooh, I do like that.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I think I have that one in my stack somewhere.
Black Canary is one of the rare ones. I just got Thea last month for my birthday, and I was very happy.
Okay. Like Speedy?
Yeah.
Nice.
I think I've got the one with the sword.
Nice.
Yeah.
And this one coming from one of my favorite MCU movies and one of the most underrated ones.
Thor: Love and oh no, okay.
Oh, Multiverse of Madness strain.
Yeah, and I ordered a Zombie Strange from Amazon that hasn't arrived yet.
That one's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I love the way that one looks. So I got those Funkos. Just a brief little show and tell here of the things that happened. For anybody that reads those little Dawn of DC mini stories, I don't know if anyone reads those or not. It's like little 6-issue mini stories for a bunch of different characters, and this is one of the issues for Wally.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yep. So I have 4 of those 6 Dawn of DC issues for him. And for anybody that's familiar with the Marvel Legends 4x4 figures, where they come in those little boxes with the little files behind them, I picked up these 2.
Oh, very nice.
So they'll be going on my shelf of Marvel Legends.
Very nice. A big question for you. Do they stay in the box or do they come out of the box?
Depends on which. So the Funkos, they're all staying in the box.
Okay. Good answer. Good answer.
The Funkos are staying in the box. If I happen to get a duplicate, I'll unbox one of them.
Okay.
That's fair.
For these, I've been collecting these for so long. I have them like all up on display on a shelf. One of the shelves in my giant collector case is just dedicated to this specific brand of Marvel figures. So they're all just going to kind of go in a line. And because this Professor X one has the buildable chair, I'm probably going to have him just sitting there at the front of everybody.
Okay. Super cool. Super cool.
yeah. So and like certain things that I'll collect, whether it's like the old DC TV lines, whenever they were releasing all those figures, those will stay in a box. My McFarlane stuff stays in a box. Yeah, if I collect like amiibos, like those Smash Brothers things, those won't stay boxed, just because those actually have functions. But yeah, hope that answered the question to some degree. I know it was a bit of a long answer.
Oh yeah. Okay, Taz, I do want to go through a couple more characters here for season 7.
Yeah.
And then we can move on to.
Sorry for holding up with the brief show and tell.
You're good. You're good. I just want to make sure we have time for everything today. Angel, I'd argue, is the most consistent character on the show. I always love what they're doing with him.
I do like Angel. I haven't seen the show in a while, but I do like Angel.
Angel, yeah. I'm excited to see. Again, I'm a couple of seasons behind, but I'm curious to see because I know he's back for for this new show. So I'm really excited.
And that's like most of the marketing is the fact that he's back.
Oh yeah, like I watched a little. I didn't watch all of it because I didn't want to be spoiled. But like I saw like a video of like them reacting to like some of the biggest moments. And I'm like,
I think that was all like seasons 1 through 4 stuff. I don't think there was anything.
Cool.
I don't think. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, so he was great. I liked him little. Like, I'm retiring. I'm opening a restaurant. I'm terrified that he's not going to be able to commit to that because he's still in the show now. But I'm like, oh, please just let him retire and have his little restaurant and die a happy man. It's incredible. Masuka kind of went back to doing nothing for me. Like, I thought they actually gave him a lot to do last season, and the season is like, oh, he's
Masuka's just kind of Masuka.
He's
like
there.
He's got a little bit to do in the final season, but
hell yeah,
he's just doing his thing. He's doing his thing. And then your favorite character,
Quinn. Here's what I'll say though. His best season yet. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Like, I still don't love Quinn. He's still this annoying piece of shit, but like he's at least doing his annoying piece of shit things elsewhere. Like he's kind of just off on the corner. I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of not hating him this season. Like I'm not like despising what he's doing. I kind of like. Go ahead.
I did like when he kind of his big hero moment of the season when he shoots the club owner and everything. Like I think that's great.
Yeah, like I feel like. I guess his asshole moments are at least feel justified this time around.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he's an asshole, but he's an asshole because he's like under the like thumb of these like this mafia thug, and he's trying to be the better man that he's trying to become, and his past is coming back to haunt him, and he has that like fling with like stripper, and I'm like, I'm not going to go as far as I'm liking what they're doing with him. Like, I'm not like, oh, I can't wait to see Quinn this week. But I don't hate seeing Quinn this week as I have for the last, like, what is it? 5 and 6, man. They were rough for me for him.
Yeah.
They were really, really rough.
What season was the one where he showed up at Deb's house for like the housewarming party and he was like blitzed out of his mind being a dummy?
That was 6. That was
6.
Yeah, that was last season.
Yeah, that I think was like peak bad Quinn, and then he just got better from there.
Oh, is that when Quinn is like a drunken asshat at the beach house? Is that when that is?
Yep.
Okay,
yeah.
I remember that.
That's like rock bottom Quinn, and then after that he gets better, and then my favorite Quinn moment is in the final season, and that's all I'm gonna say.
All right.
Interesting. Yeah. I enjoyed Matthews a little bit this season. I mostly enjoyed him. I kind of enjoyed him as like, Maria, what are you doing? Just like, what are you doing, Maria?
Do you really think Dexter is the Bay Harbor Butcher?
I enjoyed him as like this kind of like, I'm glad he's not in the show as much because I he's kind of been a whatever character to me, but I kind of like this like this like grizzled old retired cop that's like, all right, let's
he's like, all right, I live on my boat now. I'm retired. Like, leave me alone. Get off my lawn.
Speaking of Maria though, they finally remembered she's a real character this season.
Yes.
Thank God. These last like 3 seasons, I've been so frustrated because I loved her as a character. I do love her.
Yeah.
But they're so focused on making her like a villain for Deb and like every character like on the show. and it's like they.
I mean, after Dokes died, she kind of didn't really. Yeah.
Like, I liked her a little bit in season 3, but like she was either used for like a plot device or just a villain to push Deb forward, to give her someone to fight, and that bothered me because she's such a strong character to be reduced to that. And I think she gives her strongest season this season when there's like a light that turns on inside the writer's room where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, she's she's a part of the cast. We have to treat her right for her, I assume, her final season, based on what happened here at the end. Which I still haven't processed that since we literally I watched it and then we started.
Yeah, dude. Like, so okay, you're like okay. I guess we'll finish with that, but let's talk about, I guess, your favorite storyline first, which is the Dexter and Deb
oh god,
pretend like they're Barry and Iris.
Fuck that shit, bro. I couldn't believe that's where we were going, because someone said like get to the relationship in season 7. I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And I heard some some rumors of like what was going to be happening. I was like, I don't know what we're doing here. And like the like start of season 6, there were some like little breadcrumbs. I was like, what are we? Why they say that one?
Dude,
thing? Like, why did they link that one
the
shot?
therapist? Do you know who the therapist was though?
Was she Superman and Lois? Was that
Yes, she was Parasite.
Gotcha.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Gotcha. She
looked dude, but
familiar.
that was a terrible therapist, bro. Like, what kind of therapist convinces you you're in love?
Yeah.
What kind of therapist convinces you you're in love with your adopted sibling, bro? Like, what?
She just took therapy notes from Matt's girlfriend.
It's so I don't understand. That to me feels like so like, I don't want to say corporate, but like it feels so like, oh, these fans are going to freak out.
It's like they let some weird fanfic writer in the writer's room.
Yeah.
That's like with that. And again, like, okay, from an outside perspective, right? These two actors were married in real life for a minute, like during the show. Yes. Did you not know that?
No.
Yeah, they were married in real life for, I think,
or after they started filming the show.
After they started filming the show, it was from like, I don't know, like season like 2 to 4, 2 to 5 or something like that. It was I think too, if I remember correctly, it was during the time that Michael C. Hall had cancer as well.
Oh, wow.
Like, and I think that's like season 4, season 5. He has like a wig the whole season.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, so like they were together for a little while there, and then I believe this storyline is happening post that. So obviously this was kind of formulated and written maybe when they were together. Like, it's weird that it kind of formulated into that, but then taking it from that context, it's very interesting to see that play out on screen.
Yeah,
But no, I hate it. I hate it.
I was not a fan, and I think like I've already seen some like Barry and Iris comparison, but I think Barry and Iris are very different in that regard, because they definitely established that they knew each other before they were siblings, right? Doesn't necessarily make it amazing, but like they established that, and
right, there was a friendship beforehand.
Yeah,
there was a friendship beforehand, and also they established from day one that's the direction they are taking this. If they imagine they just like ran the Flash, it was 7 seasons of them as just siblings, and then season 9 they're like, oh, yeah, let's have a date. We'd be like,
yeah, they'd be like,
no,
what are you doing? Yeah, what are you doing?
It's weird.
And it kind of don't even get me started on like when you learn kind of the timeline a little bit more in Original Sin, it seems even weirder.
Oh god, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because we're gonna have to watch them like eat breakfast together every day and shit.
Yeah, like they are like full on like sibling, and then you get flashbacks within the flashbacks too. Like, not necessarily a spoiler, but you kind of get like, you see what's going on around that time, and it's interesting too to see the age that Dexter is when Harry adopts him, and how recently Deb was born.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah. No, that's fair, and there's a lot more we could probably dive into, but I think we're gonna call it for now because there are some other things I do want to get into in this episode. But next week we will do basically all Dexter. Next week we'll do
season 8.
10. Sorry, season 8. New Blood,
and then Resurrection premiere.
Yes,
you'll be all decked out.
Yep,
absolutely.
Dex to the max.
Our next main topic here, we're going to be talking about Ironheart season 1. Obviously, the first season of many, many, many seasons. Obviously, we're going to get, seasons 1 or season 2 and season 3 and season 4, all the way up in season 20. We're getting 20 seasons. No, Ironheart season 1. We talked about it last week, and I was very excited to talk about it this week because I felt like I needed the whole picture to fully break this down.
Me too.
We had one half of a story, and I said how I feel about this will 100% be determined on how it can wrap its final, or how it can wrap the season, and how many loose threads are still hanging, and how they end it, and all this various stuff. I want to start with you, Jake. Jake, have you seen Ironheart yet? Is this a show that you've wrapped up?
Yes.
Wrapped up yet? Okay. So let's start with you then. Like, what is your general thoughts on the first, I guess, the 6 episodes of Ironheart?
So going into this, I had mixed feelings going in because I'll be honest, the character was not my favorite part of Wakanda Forever. I had more issues with that movie than most people, but it felt weird to think that she was just kind of put in there to advertise her show, and that wouldn't have been a problem if the show had come out, say, the following year instead of almost 3 years later. That wouldn't have been a problem. But I liked the angle that they took of adding technology with magic. I thought we would have seen something like that more in like the Black Panther Wakanda side of things, because they've had vibranium that's housed there that has quote unquote magical properties, and of course Wakanda is very technologically advanced, so it makes sense that a character that spun off from one of those projects would take those concepts, tech and magic, and kind of blend them into her own. I don't subscribe to the thing at all where people are just taking every opportunity they can to compare her to Tony Stark. I don't see it at all. There's no reason to compare them. It's a different character. She has no ties to Tony Stark, and she's not trying to. The only people that are making those connections are the entitled fans. But I definitely like Riri as a character. I think Dominic did a great job, and I think the series did something that a number of the Disney Plus series didn't do, is that by the end of the series, your lead character is still a very flawed gray character, and I really like that. It means they have plenty of room to grow, and even your characters that have had 5+ years worth of installments, it doesn't mean they're perfect by any means, but you've gotten to go on that journey with them. So that doesn't mean that in X amount of installments Riri is going to be perfect, because I just said many characters are not still, but you're getting to see her journey instead of just being thrust into it. You're actually getting to see where it goes, the ups and downs, instead of just being told of her status and then being forced to accept it. I thought her mother was a good character, and the other girl's name I'm forgetting. Her friend, God, I'm forgetting the
Natalie.
Natalie, thank you.
Yeah.
Thought she was a good character. Although Riri's crime team, if you want to call them, I gotta say I did not care for those characters whatsoever. I thought they were pretty bad. But no, but by the time you got to the end of the series, did I have my issues with it? Yes. But I did overall like it. I'm a little mad at the way Marvel released it, how they really wanted to just get it done and over with very quickly, 3 and 3, and they really didn't have any faith in it at all. But
I would have loved talking about the show for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Because there's so many elements of the show that I'm not going to be able to talk about, because we have to just talk about like the overall of what it is and what it means going forward and stuff like that. I do fully agree with you, though, as I think, like, you know, there's been this conversation with a lot of these. It's like, does this feel like a TV show? Does it not? Some do, some haven't. And, like, despite it definitely being a 6-episode event and, like, it being stuck in that formula of the original kind of shows, it ends in a way that none of the other shows have. And I guess outside of, like, Daredevil kind of ends in a way where it's like, oh, season 2's coming. But it ends in a way where it's not like, well, we are done here. Wrap it up, guys. Let's get ready for their movie appearance. It's like, no, get ready for season 2, guys. Get your butt in gear. And despite if we're going to see that or not, I'm so happy that a show didn't have to, like, hurry and wrap everything up just for the universe at large. So they can continue. Like, that was so satisfying to me, being like, wait, what? Like, what are they doing here? No. And it ends being like, no, don't end the episode. I want to see what happens next. And I've been missing that a lot on these Disney Plus shows.
Because a lot of them don't feel like they're made for TV. Like they feel like movies that are awkwardly cut in between. And I'll be honest too, I love that this show fully embraced the comic book goofiness with its villains. I love that they did that. Also, it had really good action. The suit actually ended up looking really good.
Fantastic.
But no, the hate for this show was just blown completely out of proportion. It had a really compelling mystery with the Hood. I thought that was done really well. And there was another character, Xavier, I think was his name. Didn't really like that character either. So, like, there were things I loved, things I really didn't like, but you know, there were. Is it my favorite of the MCU Disney Plus shows? No, but it's also far from my least favorite.
Yeah. How about you, Taz? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts on Ironheart. So you kind of know where I stood last week. Like, I didn't love those first 3 episodes. Like, I think it was a little rough for me to kind of get into the feel of the show. Coming into this as kind of the official wrap-up to Phase 5, this is a character that I didn't see her get established in Black Panther 2. I still haven't seen that movie yet. But I came into it, I didn't necessarily need to know a lot of backstory. I'm like, all right, so this is kind of like our spiritual successor to an Iron Man type character, but in a very, very different way. I think episode 1 starts us off in a rough spot. Like, Riri is not very likable to me very early on. Like, but that's the point.
That's the point.
So I think, again, it is very much so. I felt the way that I was supposed to feel in those first handful of episodes. I was a little uneasy. I was like, should I really be rooting for this character? Should I be enjoying watching this character who's actively, doing crimes? Right? She is actively committing crimes to be able to afford pieces and upgrades for her suit. We don't necessarily know why she is so kind of hell-bent on building this Iron Man-esque suit. We kind of learn about her tragic backstory a little bit in those first few episodes. Her best friend Natalie, her stepfather get killed in a very tragic way. She feels very helpless, and that is why we have this introduction of, okay, she wants to do or has to do whatever it takes to be able to build this suit of armor so that she no longer feels powerless, so that she can help people that, have gone through similar things, or to prevent similar things from happening in the future. I think, yes, there's a lot of elements that people can draw, like, different negative context to, is she, she's not entitled to all of these certain things, and, the whole aspect with the Tony Stark privilege and all of that. I think that that's a very interesting conversation, but I think that she ends up going on a journey where she earns her title in a lot of ways. She's not 100% there, but I think that she earns her way to a decent protagonist by the end of this series for me. I think just in a general context as well, I think the show has a very unique visual style. I mentioned this last week. I really like the title cards. I think the music works very well. I think the shot composition in a lot of ways is very good. There's a lot of Dutch tilts, Dutch angles. I really like that. I love that technique, and I think it works very well. in this show as well. I think it's color graded fairly well. The effects look very good for a TV show. I think the biggest standout is the fact that the suit is practical sometimes, or it looks practical. It looks tangible, like it's not nanotech. I think that is really, really good. I really like that element of actually getting to see her fully get into the suit, fully get out of the suit, that sort of thing. I really enjoy that. I think my favorite element in that first kind of half of the season was her interactions with Alden Ehrenreich's character. I think he was a very good addition to the show. I liked kind of seeing his kind of build up from a very different style of character to who he ends up becoming, as far as like an antagonist goes and everything.
He was getting quite a bit of hate, and
yeah.
I kind of don't get it. Like, I thought he was really, really good, especially if we're planning on seeing him again, which maybe this was the last time we see him. I don't know if you guys heard this, but like it came out this week that he was supposed to be one of the villains of Captain America 4, which is great, crazy, and it's something I actually probably would have really liked to have seen if they could have pulled that off, you know. But yeah, like I really like that he's this kind of like sleeper agent of a villain, right? Like those feelings and those motivations are in there, and Riri just had to unlock them and like get them out. And yes, a lot of what he's doing in the show is against his will, and we see that in the final kind of like the final episode especially. But like I like that he just needed a little bit of that push. Like that first time they fight in what is it, episode? I think it's episode 5. Yeah, it's when like Riri and him is like having that face off, and that's a really cool moment that I guess I didn't really think about until it happens. Like, oh, you have your next gen Iron person and your like legacy, you know, Ironmonger here facing off against each other, and it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like, oh, we're doing a thing. Until it happens. It's like, they're doing the thing, you know.
It also doesn't feel like a way of, hey, look, we're trying to replicate this other thing.
And like that's the way you do these legacy characters. It's not like, I
don't even know if I'd call it a legacy character though.
Well, like I guess it's just kind of how you like create new characters, right? Like I think it's very smart to like create these new characters via what you already know. So it's not like we're bringing back Stain for Iron Man 4. It's like, no, this is a new show with its new themes, with its new ideas. You just like it because it's these legacy, you know, kind of ideas that we can kind of play with. And it's not like he's doing this because of his father's legacy. It's like, no, he doesn't really care about his father that much. You know, it's just, he's doing his own thing, kind of.
I mean,
I do really think... Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, what protagonist in the MCU doesn't have daddy issues?
Yeah, and I'm curious about that too, because like the Hood, I think, is a big one for people, and like one of the big criticisms I'm seeing of these final couple is like, well, he just has daddy issues, and that's kind of like the end of his motivation. And I am kind of like, yeah, and I don't think that's bad necessarily, but they don't let that cook, I guess, would be one of my big criticism. And I think most of my criticism in the show isn't what's there. It's just I want more of what's there, I guess, is ultimately what I'd give it. Where it's like, okay, I like the idea that he's trying to like take from these corporations and he's trying to be successful because that's what he's trying to prove his father wrong. Like those are fine ideas on paper. It's just like, I don't give a shit about his father. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit about that moment. I would have been better if we got to see like maybe some flashbacks of him as a child and like what he had to go through growing up or something. Like, show me why that moment's important to him instead of just being like, hey, I hate you. Oh, I hate you too. Okay, sign these papers. You know, it's like,
because then the stuff in present day will have a lot more weight.
100%. Yeah.
I mean,
if they show you instead of tell you, it'll have a lot more weight.
Yeah.
Going back to Stain, though, I think that he creates a very interesting dichotomy there, right? So Riri seeks him out as somebody to help her on her journey and somebody to kind of use as a backdoor kind of, you know, wild card against her, you know, her fight against the Hood, right? So she knows that Parker is bad news. She knows that she's working for a crew of criminals, but she's thinking the ends justify the means at this point. So she's putting her faith and her trust in somebody who she thinks will be on her side in the end. However, the dominoes fall in a way in which all of these, not necessarily lies piling up, but all of these different things that she's taking on pile up one after another after another. She gets way in over her head. They do their big heist, and it ends with the death of Parker's cousin. Riri is, for all intents and purposes, responsible, and she also leaves behind evidence linking Zeke Stain to Riri and now the criminal organization that is going through with these heists. So not only is she responsible for the death of a crew member, but she is now also responsible for exposing this guy who she very much so brought in forcefully and promised that he would not be caught up in it or would not be involved in it. And I think ending off that first half of the season, ending off the first half of the season with that, again, put it in a difficult spot for me. Again, like I said a lot last week, is Riri just seemed very unlikable at the beginning. She was making so many mistakes, going down so many different paths that your typical MCU hero does not do. And it made it very tough for me to connect to this character. And I was in a spot, I was like, I'm not vibing with it. But I was like, hey, we got to sit here. We got to, sit with it. Let's think about where this show can go, because there was the one element that was saving it for me, which was kind of this magical side of things. Where does the hood come from? There are rumors of our boy Mephisto finally popping up after all of these years, going back to our WandaVision speculation back in the day. So I had to hold on for the long haul. And I have to say, I was so much happier with the back half of the series than I was with that first half. And this is a whole other question or a whole other conversation to have at some point as well. But the fact that they split it into two halves versus, again, weekly drops, or even making it just like a special presentation or a movie or something like that, I think that there's definitely a question to be had about that. But again, going into the back half, it was such a stronger side to the show. I wish the entire show was like this back half of the season. There was a deeper dive into the magic side of things. We got to really deconstruct Riri's motivations and her feelings of inadequacy, and, can she live up to this mantle of Ironheart that she's creating for herself? She realizes, hey, I'm in way over my head. I have joined this criminal organization. My best friend is a AI that I accidentally created, and what's the morality behind that as well? You've got Parker going deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole because he has lost the only family member that he has left. And he is gunning for Riri this entire season, or this entire back half of the season, might I say. He uses Riri's old allies against her with Zeke Stain, giving him upgrades and making him, just, again, a adversary for her to take down. We have the battle for White Castle, which I thought was hilarious, and it reminded me of the Power Rangers battling over over Krispy Kreme. So Ironheart goes to White Castle. Very, very funny. But yeah, we're building this entire season towards that kind of mesh, that merge of magic and tech, or magic and science. And finally revealing, again, who's been kind of pulling the strings in all of this. And that Mephisto reveal, man, like, I think I can give a pass to every little issue, every little nitpick I had, for the sole fact that they finally gave us this character that I've wanted to see on screen for so long. I'll save my thoughts for a second, but what did you guys think of Mephisto?
You know what's so funny is I didn't care about Mephisto as a character, mainly because I don't know. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I love Mephisto. I've read every. I don't know. I don't know the guy. The only
What's
thing
a
I know about
Mephisto?
the guy, right? Like, I know kind of what he does. I know his, like, I know he's a demon from hell that makes steals and blah blah blah. And we all wanted him for WandaVision and blah blah blah. Like, I wanted to see him like for the bit. Like, I wanted to be like, hey, it's him. We asked for
It's
him
the
like
guy.
5 years ago. Yeah, it's him.
I'll
You
talk
know?
on this bit last.
Okay, yeah. So it's like I didn't want. I only reason I wanted him just for we could finally say, oh, he's in the MCU. Because obviously, there's a thing in Agatha, and like he appears, and instantly I love him. It's so like this actor. What is it? The actor from like Poor Rot, right? Like
Yeah, what is it? Sacha Baron Cohen.
yeah,
Yeah.
he has a presence instantly. He makes his presence known instantly, and within just this like what maybe 8 minutes of screen time in this episode, right? I already kind of wish he was the main villain in these upcoming movies. Like, I've given my thoughts on the whole Downey thing and how I kind of don't, love that direction. And I think this final episode came out and I realized there has been a connective tissues between these movies and TV shows. We just didn't realize it yet. And it kind of feels like it was Mephisto. Like you're building your stuff up through, obviously started all the way back with like WandaVision, which was your first proper project of Phase 4, and you continue that thread through Doctor Strange, and then you continue that through Spider-Man, and then you continue this stuff through Agatha. And we're about to get Vision Quest, and like I feel like a lot of these stories are these stories about like guilt and greed and selfishness, and these are kind of all these themes of Mephisto and kind of what he thrives on. And I kind of end the episode being like, I kind of wish Champions was what we're building towards this whole what's going to ultimately be 3 sagas, because it kind of would make sense. And obviously it wouldn't fit with your whole multiverse thing, right? But if I was in charge, and maybe it's a bad idea because half of it has been done in TV, but like after Kang had to go away, I would have been the guy like at the back of the room being like, you know what? Why not Mephisto? Like people were begging for him. People made thousands of videos on this, guys. If you called it like Avengers Mephisto's Revenge or something, I'd be like, okay, Rise of Mephisto or something. Like I feel like people would. I think that'd get butts and seats. You know what I mean? And maybe you can't because there's a whole thing in like China where you can't like have like devil propaganda in media. So maybe that's a thing.
Well, I guess they can't release an X-Men movie in China if Nightcrawler's going to be in it.
Yeah, like there's like there's that stuff at play, but like I kind of loved it.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm actually a fan of Mephisto and a lot of other media types. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm the expert. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I do really like the character. And there's the famous time in comics, and even other media have done this because you reminded me of it when you brought up Doctor Doom. So Doom's mother, there's a whole like backstory of where Doom's mother was a prisoner in Mephisto's realm, and it was somebody in her village that she essentially traded herself for to save. And then Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange teamed up and went to Mephisto's realm and freed her. And if we could see something of that regard with Benedict Cumberbatch, and because he would recognize the face of this Doctor Doom, maybe you could have something there because he does know that face. And I don't know if you want to bring Mephisto in that way, you could, but kind of like I've said about Ultron too, like that's a character that could be the big bad of a saga. And not just a one-off character in either a Doctor Strange movie or a Ghost Rider project, things like that. Like that's a way that not only is it a villain that's big enough for a saga, but it's also through that villain you can bring so many characters together. Like you can have Ghost Rider meet somebody like Doctor Strange and have that whole magic and hell type of magic dichotomy of like their different types of abilities that they possess. You could have the whole deal with the devil dichotomy that Mephisto is really infamous for. Of course, he was very prominent in what is considered by many to be the worst Spider-Man comic of all time, One More Day. It was
Which
very
is
prominent.
basically what we did here in the season. Like I kind of feel
Yeah.
like take on that story.
Yeah. I wish we would stop acknowledging that story, but that's
Yeah.
that's a different conversation.
We've already got references to it because the new Spider-Man movie, isn't that called Brand New Day?
Yeah, and No Way Home kind of took elements from Brand New Day,
Yes.
or not Brand New Day.
One more day.
Sorry.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep. And yeah, that's I'm gonna get to that in a minute, but like,
would there be a chance we could get Mephisto for Spider-Man 4?
I doubt it,
dude. I mean, anything's possible now. I think, honestly.
If I kind of hope they don't adapt Brand New Day though, but granted, they obviously One More Day is not that great of a story, and they took the most loose of adaptations for No Way Home and made it into a really good movie. So they could very well do that for Brand New Day 2. There were probably a lot more of a heavy adaptation from the original story because it's the title of your movie. But a lot of people on the Spider-Man side of things are theorizing Mr. Negative for the fourth Spider-Man.
That's what I would prefer.
Yeah. I could see it. But also, I've said this too, depending on where that movie takes Peter, by the time the Avengers movies come around, or at least the second one, if he is in the second one, because, it's like we are pretty sure he's not in Doomsday, but he could very well be in Secret Wars. And if they're going to do, the whole black symbiote thing where he gets that suit in like Battle World in a lab, that if it comes on him when he's at his lowest point, like say he's at another low point by the end of the movie, that could be the perfect entry point for it.
I don't think they'll do this, Jeffrey. I think mainly because that is a lot of homework, and I think unfortunately they don't. I don't think they want Doomsday. I think is a movie that they want anyone to go see and not have to be like, oh, you have to go watch Ironheart to understand what's going on here. And maybe they can reintroduce him here, but I feel like
those also aren't two characters that would typically work together. Like they would compete for the hand of control.
Yeah.
But maybe I wouldn't be shocked if he's in it though. Like I would not be shocked if he.
Yeah, I would not be shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's backtrack a little bit, right? So starting off with the finale episode. So episode 6 kicks off with giving us our backstory, not just for the Hood, but there is where we get our first introduction to Mephisto. We see him save Parker from this, this escape from a heist. They go into the pizza shop. It's hopping. It's lively. And they sit down and they have a little conversation about, aspirations in life. And very much so, again, in the Lucifer context, he asks Parker what he truly desires.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a great element. And for those who aren't super, again, familiar with Mephisto, from what I understand, comic book Mephisto is not literally the devil like Lucifer, DC Comics Lucifer is. He is a cosmic entity that kind of embodies the characteristics of what the devil would be.
Yeah.
He has his own pocket dimension that he calls hell, but it's not actually.
Right.
So he's very much so, again, taking inspiration from the devil, making deals like the devil would. However, he is Mephisto. So he is, again, that cosmic entity that is making those deals. But, again, with a twist. He's going to take your soul, just like Lucifer would, right? So he makes this deal. He, gives Parker the Hood, is like, hey, you'll have riches beyond your imagination. You'll get to be, what is it? Filthy, greasy rich is what he says, right? He gives him the Hood. He gives him the tools to go about that, but doesn't necessarily tell him how to do it or what to do. Is like, hey, here's your Hood. I'll see you later, dude. And the more that Parker uses the Hood, the more it corrupts him. I feel like that is kind of signifying the more of his soul that it is taking from him, right? So the magic comes at a cost, and they mention that a little bit later as well. Like when Riri and her family and friends, they're building the new suit. I really loved that sequence as well, using the car to create the new version of the Ironheart suit. I think it looked great.
Yeah.
But they infused that new suit with some magic from the daughter of one of Riri's mother's friends, who is, I believe the character's name is Zelma. She is pretty big in the kind of Doctor Strange-esque side of things.
Yeah,
I think
is.
the story is Strange Academy, I believe.
Yep.
And guess what show they've been trying to get off the ground for a long time?
Strange Academy. So that is, again, another big element of, okay, where could we see these characters in the future? If not an Ironheart Season 2, what else could we see? And that comes back a little bit later on as well. But so we infuse the magic into the new version of the Ironheart suit. But by doing that, we erase the Natalie AI, which is a very sad moment, very big moment, and very much so something that is going to be sitting with Riri for a little bit throughout the rest of this episode. We have her go, and what she thinks originally is going to be just confronting Parker. She ends up having to fight young Han Solo in a little bit of a, a mid-game boss fight. The fight scene is very cool because it's kind of like somebody who doesn't necessarily want to fight you. It's like, oh, hey, dodge this, dodge that. It was very MCU of them to be like, all right, this is the only way that you can stop me, kick me where I don't have any, cybernetics. I think that was kind of, a little silly. Little silly.
Yeah.
But I do like where they leave off. It's like, hey, we're not necessarily enemies, but we're not friends either.
Yeah.
Like, I know you kind of.
I like how there's not
over. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not over.
Answer.
Yeah. This is not over, and it's gonna come back around. Like.
Well, yeah, like that. Like that's the thing where it's like no one's characters are necessarily wrapped up. Like
no,
they all kind of have their season endings, but it's like until next time, which I think
no.
Is
and so again,
really
to me,
important.
this felt like a mid-season finale. This felt like the halfway point of a movie. This didn't feel like a season finale. Certainly did not feel like a series finale.
Not a series finale, and I think that I think I actually personally thought it felt like a season finale. Personally, like I think I love that in the way where it's like I have to wait all summer to see how this wraps up. Holy shit, I can't wait until October and stuff like that. And I think like my opinions on the show, I guess will shift depending on if we get to see these characters again.
Yeah.
Because, and I guess that's jumping to the end, and I hope I'm not jumping ahead of whatever template you have here, Taz. But
no, you're good.
I kind of love, like you've been saying this whole thing, Riri is a very flawed character. She's not she's very smart, but she makes mistakes. Right, and there's been a lot of complaining, but like she's too smart for that. I can't believe she would do that. But I don't think it matters how smart you are. Temptation is temptation. And even though she knows
and you're gonna backslide.
You're going to backslide. And I like in that moment, she knows this is not the right thing to do, but she does not care. And I think temptation is a drug. Temptation gets to the best of us. And she is in a moment of grief. She just lost her best friend again. She is vulnerable. And in this moment, she's like, fuck it. This world doesn't give a shit about me. Like there's this huge narrative of like this world is kind of out to get me. Fuck it. Let me get any advantage I can here. And I would even imagine maybe like some of her headspace is like, okay, I'll accept this now and I'll fix it later. I'll create some kind of something that can like, take him down or something. If I could just do this now and then I can do that later kind of thing. And I think I respect how ballsy it is to be like, oh, you thought she was supposed to be a good guy at the end of the season? No, not yet. We're going to see that build over the course of, I imagine, in their mind, a season 2 or maybe a season 3.
So you were talking about like Taz's template, and you said to me like there was like rankings in this. Like what exactly is that, or are you about to get to that?
We're gonna do like a phase 5 ranking after we do a little Ironheart stuff here.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I do think also the dichotomy there between Riri and Parker is very interesting, and seeing how very opposite the two of them starts. And then as we get further and further along this season, the closer and closer they become as far as motivation goes, right? So Riri going into this final fight is at her lowest point once again, right? She's lost her best friend AI. She's had to recreate this new suit. She's now lost her new friend with Zeke, who is now against her for all intents and purposes. And Parker is at his lowest point. He's lost his cousin. He is not, getting the fame and fortune that he so desired from Mephisto originally. He's kind of feeling like he's been given the short end of the stick in this deal. So he calls out to Mephisto in his, little secret panic room and is like, dude, what the heck is going on? Mephisto shows up and he starts talking in his British accent, which again reminds me a lot of the, Lucifer TV show Lucifer. I think it's very funny how he changes his personality based off of the scenario that he's in.
Yeah.
This was very serious. This was hey, I gave you the power. I can take he who giveth can taketh away, right?
Yeah.
So I gave you that hood. I gave you the tools to succeed. If you're not succeeding, that's on you. That sounds like a personal problem to me. He's like, hey, power me up. Give me everything you can. He like boops him on the nose and is like, go do your thing, dude. So we get our final showdown between Riri and the Hood. I really liked the visuals of this fight scene. I think seeing the magic kind of combined with the tech of the suit.
Yeah.
Great visuals. I think having the kind of demon side of the Hood come out as well, really, really cool looking. Again, I wish we got more of this. I wish that this was the direction that we were going in the MCU. I'm like, in a lot of ways, all of this magic stuff is 1,000 times more interesting to me than the multiversal stuff.
And
WandaVision, Agatha, those were two of my favorite projects. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. Well, yes, multiversal elements, but the magic, the dream walking and stuff like that. I think that is such a cool concept. And again, the fact that we have been speculating on this, omnipotent figure pulling the strings in the background since the beginning. Was it Mephisto? Was it Nightmare? They speculate that it's Dormammu.
That was
and I loved that when he was like, Riri's like, I know who you are, Dormammu, and he's like, Dormammu, like,
kidding me? Yeah.
What? Like, that was great.
And I love how this show, like, really plays like it knows what world it's in, and I think the show. It works very well on its own. I think you can kind of watch the show and not necessarily need anything else, but also it uses elements from Black Panther, from Iron Man, with like Doctor Strange, with Agatha, and it feels like we're living in this beautiful world where everything is kind of there, and it really reminded me of like that magic I love from the MCU where everything is connected, and it's not like we're bringing in cameos and doing all these kind of references. But, it's like Doctor Strange is out there and all the Shuri is out there and all this serious stuff. I know you didn't watch Black Panther 2, but I'm very glad they at least referenced Shuri here.
Yes, and me too. Me too.
I think like maybe she brushed
that scene was pretty funny.
It's pretty funny. I think it was still a very viable option and arguably probably what she should have done. Like, I know from her perspective, like, you want me to call, from her point of view, the like Queen of Wakanda. She's like you want me to do that? No, that's crazy. You're gonna say, but I know you haven't seen the movie. I think she would have done that in an instant. Like, no, you helped me save Wakanda. Yeah, I'll help you take care of this little demon thing. And to the point, she also may have been like, hey, Avengers, there's a demon that this little girl is struggling with.
Well, isn't there like mystical elements in Black Panther 2 as well? Like, there's a lot of stuff with like the ancestral plane. From what I understand, like not necessarily same kind of magic, but like they dive a little little bit into it. If I'm not...
I wouldn't say any more than the first one necessarily, but like there is always like a magical element connected to Black Panther, right? Because of the fruit and the ancestral plane and stuff like that. But like, yeah, no, like, you know, when she's like, I'm not calling her, I was like, I think you should. Actually, I think Shuri could really help you in this scenario. I think that could be cool, but it's like a nice way of being like, why aren't the other heroes showing up? It's like, well, because she won't call them. And I think that's the way of working around it.
If we literally got something like that, okay, way big backtrack. Daredevil Born Again, right? If we got some sort of reference of like Spider-Man's on vacation or something like that, just something small that it's like, okay, why are we not calling any other New York-based heroes?
Yeah,
we know why in the context of Ironheart, Riri tried to keep this to herself, because again, I don't think she wants any of her hero friends knowing that she worked with a criminal organization. Even though, again,
true.
One of my other big nitpicks is that she does not care at all about her secret identity. She's just flying around, taking her suit off, not caring
Iron Man
who sees her. Yeah.
I'm kidding. But no, then like you run into something like, you know, even though I like this movie, when you run into something like Captain America Brave New World, that is a prime example of, okay, where are all of these other characters?
Right.
You literally had one of them pop up in the movie for a quick cameo and then they're gone.
Right.
But yeah, like you always have to put that question out of your mind whenever you're going to watch one of these movies. It's unfortunate because it's part of a larger universe, but whenever they write themselves into a corner like that, it doesn't always feel connected because it's like, okay,
there's always restrictions. There's restrictions when you do TV versus movies. And I think bringing up Brave New World is actually a very interesting perspective, right? So again, Ironheart was very self-contained. You got references to the larger MCU, but no real appearances, no real cameos, versus something like Brave New World. I didn't realize Bucky was in a scene, you know, until I watched it a couple nights ago. Like that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't realize that there are some ties to the larger universe, and you can do that with the movies because they're movies. They're bigger blockbusters. You have a higher, a larger budget. You can expand it a little bit more. But I think, too, in some ways, Ironheart being very self-contained works a lot in its favor. I think it really does. Because, again, you're able to dive deeper into these magical elements. You don't have Doctor Strange coming in and saying, Riri Williams, you have messed with the fabric of magic, space, and time. You've made a deal with Mephisto. What are you doing? Like you don't have that element.
Whenever you have all those nods to those other projects, it benefits the universe. It makes everything feel a little bit more connected, but it doesn't always benefit the project.
Right, like we had, like Kamar-Taj was referenced, right? Doctor Strange was referenced. I think that's more than enough. I don't need it to be a cameo fest.
Right.
No, 100%. I will also say that I do think Strange and Riri would be a very fun dynamic that I would love. Like, if Doctor Strange 3 had like Riri as like kind of like your co-character, I'd be kind of okay with that because it is kind of like, yes, she's not Iron Man, but also I think it's kind of funny to be like Iron Man, this character that got on his nerves is like it's him, but with magic, which is
think about like when we had the Iron Man, like when they put the cape on the Iron Man suit, right? In what was it, in Infinity War, right?
Yeah.
Was that an actual scene or a deleted scene? I can't remember.
On the Iron Man suit?
Yeah, like didn't Doctor Strange? I swear I saw something of like Doctor Strange's cape on Iron Man's suit.
I don't remember.
Maybe concept
I feel like there was like either a concept art or a deleted scene or something.
You sure that wasn't like a toy?
I don't know.
But either way, like I do think like she could be a really interesting like foil to Doctor Strange. Like
maybe I'm just completely misremembering that.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Forget what I said. Maybe I'm misremembering or just thinking of like a piece of fan art or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which there were definitely a lot of those circling the internet when the movie was out.
Around Endgame,
Yeah.
I kind of want to go back slightly to the whole ending of it all because I feel like we gotta
there
a little bit,
get ourselves back. Yeah,
but like, how do you feel about the ending? Because I think it's one of the more controversial MCU endings in a minute now. There's some people who think it's a brilliant ending to the show. There's some people that think it's a very disrespectful ending to both Riri and the show, like the show as a whole. How are we sitting with that? Are we okay that she accepts Mephisto's offer, or are we a little angry that that's where we left her character?
So, okay, we end things. Riri beats Parker, takes the hood, is walking out of the pizzeria, and stumbles into Mephisto. They sit down. She takes her Transformers cosplay off, as he refers to it as.
I love that he just...
Yeah.
He's just like,
and
he can get out of that.
And I loved how apprehensive Riri was. How very much so... Okay, deleted scene. Thank you. I knew I wasn't crazy. I loved how apprehensive Riri was, right? Is like, who is this guy? What is he doing? How does he have this magic? How does he know so much kind of about what's going on, about me? You get a little bit more of that background. He's kind of like hyping himself up. He's like, oh, hey, I've made all of these deals in the past. Like, you know how this came into play. You know, that was all me, that sort of thing. And then we get to kind of the, okay, what do you desire? What do you want? How can I help you be a better hero, I guess, in a lot of ways. And again, Riri is at the lowest point of her journey. She has fallen very much so from where she wants to be. Yes, she beat the villain at the end of the day, but at what cost? She has lost her best friend in the AI form, and she now has this very powerful being offering her the one thing that she wants more than anything. And I think too, as we're getting the like the flashes of what we've seen previously, right? I think that's Mephisto kind of prying into her mind, manipulating her to an extent. So I don't think that this decision was 100% hers. I think it's a lot of Mephisto, a lot of his manipulation. It's him pulling his mojo on her, so to speak, right? You see him stirring up the coffee, and you see the actual Mephisto reflection in the spoon. And I think that, again, that's a big signal, like, hey, yes, I'm giving her this quote-unquote choice, but there is no choice in the matter. You've already tapped into magic, and now I'm here to present a solution, and a solution to quite possibly a problem that he created in and of himself, right? Is how did Natalie actually disappear when they tapped into the magic side of the suit? Why did she disappear? I think it's truly, it is Mephisto who caused Natalie to disappear, which then sent Riri down this spiral where she, then goes after Hood, takes the hood. She, in the end, keeps the hood. The hood is on the cape is on the suit in this show as well,
which I cannot wait to see.
Which I want. I love that.
Right. Yeah.
But in the end, he has again brought her to her lowest point and coaxes her into making this decision because there's no other way around it. Would you, in the same position, make any different of a choice?
No.
Could you pass up that choice?
I think
I will bring your best friend back, and all you have to do is give me something you won't even miss.
Yeah, I just want to hit that point before you go away from it. The whole thing with Mephisto, that is what he does to a T. He will give someone an offer and then twist it in his own way. And to quote him directly from Ultimate Alliance, he goes, "I follow my bargains to the letter. I can't help it if others misinterpret what was said."
Yeah,
that is Mephisto to a T.
And I wonder,
he's a freaky genie.
Yeah,
and
that's all there is to it.
And look, this might be a comic thing you guys can answer, but like I'm just going like from the perspective of this show alone and nothing else. Like I do kind of agree with you, Taz. Like I kind of like this idea that they don't even have a choice. Like it's not like I don't know if Riri could be like, no, thank you, and like walk away. Like I'm not sure if that's
no,
not at all.
Kind of feels like this like siren that's like luring you in.
When he has his sights set on somebody, he doesn't let them go.
And here's the thing too, is because he did the same thing to Parker. Parker was very apprehensive, and it's like a car salesman, right? You know, you walk in there, you're like, oh no, I'm just here to test drive. And then Mephisto's like, well, your old car's not doing too well. You've had this car for a while. Why don't we go for this test drive? Maybe let's look at a couple cars that might be out of your price range. Mm-hmm. Oh, that was a nice test drive, wasn't it? Wouldn't you and your family really love this new car? You could fit all your groceries, put the dog in there, take the kids to soccer practice. Like, this is a great vehicle, isn't it? Yeah. We're having all these great deals. How could you say no? It's the end of the month. We'll give you a good financing rate. We'll extend the warranty on it. Yeah. You know. And that's exactly what he's doing here. Is he's hyping up the deal. He's making it feel too good to be true. And I think he's very charming in that aspect as well. You know, he's got his British accent and everything too. So he's, got that kind of like authority to him. Can't unsee him as a car salesman. Yeah. That's what Mephisto's been doing. He's top car salesman at I don't know, like at Ford, let's say, right?
He got the idea from Deadpool.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you want out of everything in the world? What do you want? Car?
Yeah. What do you most desire?
Ferrari.
But no, he's very yeah. But he's very charming in that aspect too. I think he's a tough person to say no to. And also again, he's not lying at all. He is telling 100% the truth, or at least his version of the truth, what he believes to be true.
Yeah, his interpretation.
And it is exactly. And then it is up to Riri, it is up to Parker to then take what he's saying and run with it.
And also he doesn't tell them what his end of the deal is, right? It's like something that you won't miss. I'd be like, no. Write it down on paper exactly what I
am. Yeah, what is it? What am I giving? What am I giving to you?
And that could be my soul. That could be my life. And what happens once anyone who's wearing that is filled up with all of that? Yeah. That stuff.
Yeah, and
we don't exactly know what that is. Exactly.
Well, I think I know exactly what that is. I think you saw it with Parker. Think about the Hood. Every time he used his power, the corruption would grow on him until he fully became that kind of demon version of himself, right? That signifies the more you use Mephisto's power, the more of a hold he has over you, the more he owns your soul.
And you know what character that's exactly like? Ghost Rider. That's exactly that character. And, the whole thing of him twisting the deals, because, of course, the famous thing with Johnny Blaze, he wants his stepdad cured of cancer. Mephisto gets rid of the stepdad's cancer only to let him die in a motorcycle accident. Yeah. And that was, Johnny was not specific, so Mephisto used that to his advantage. And the more Johnny kept transforming and changing, the more that Mephisto had a hold over him.
Be careful what you wish for. The monkey's paw. All of these kinds of stories, again, very much so here. Riri, be careful what you wish for. You wanted... I don't think she asked for Natalie, the person, to come back. I think she just said, I want my friend back. I think, right? In her mind, thinking...
She saw both pictures,
right? In my mind, thinking the AI version of herself. And that's why she thought at the beginning, oh my gosh, AI Natalie, whatever. And then she goes to touch her, see if she's real. Yeah. And she's an actual person. And that is I think that's the realization where she's like, oh shoot, I messed up. But at this point, I don't care. I don't care what it costs me. My friend is back. She gives her the hug, and you see that corruption start to grow.
Start to spread.
You see that corruption start to spread. The suit is in the background the whole time with the hood and everything as well. And I think whatever the next project is that she is in, whether it is Strange Academy, whether it's Ironheart Season 2, whether she shows up in Vision Quest, which I think is a good possibility because we've got the Billy and Tommy aspect of that.
I think she would have showed up in Armor
Doomsday.
Wars, that series.
Armor Wars.
I agree. And I mean, she had stated that she's in Avengers Doomsday. That does concern.
Was her name on one of the chairs for the Doomsday
reveal?
It was
not
reveal?
on a chair.
No.
But she
Interesting.
said, like leading into the movie, that I'm going to be in Avengers Doomsday. Now I take that with a grain of salt. Actors say things some now. I was talking to our friend Ronan about this. It was like maybe she thought, like maybe she's in something that she thought was Avengers Doomsday, and it's like Vision Quest or something.
Or she's in Secret Wars and not Doomsday, right? She's like, oh, I know I'm going to be in an Avengers movie,
right? Because it was the same sort of questionable things. Whenever you saw those tweets from Benedict Cumberbatch come out, and he's like, "Oh, I'm in this. Wait, I'm not in this. Wait, I am." And it's we're getting confused.
I think the ideal situation for me right now would be if tomorrow maybe comes out after Avengers Secret Wars or something. I do want that Champions project. I really want. I would love this like Champions 10 episode series that is Mephisto as like the villain, because I do think Mephisto makes a lot of sense for that team of characters.
Oh yeah.
And after we've seen everything, like outside of Kate Bishop and Miss Marvel, which is definitely away from the supernatural world.
Yeah, a little more street level.
Yeah.
But like once you look at, you have obviously Ironheart, that I assume if this happens in this way would be like the center of everything. Seems like it could be the center of that show. Billy and Tommy is directly connected to like the dark dimension, especially Billy. And I think Billy would be fascinating because I think actually it was me and you talked about this last week. He has a lot of guilt and a lot of things that he could want to be. He would want to ask for. He has a lot of things. I mean, he is very similar to Riri, where he has done some really bad things to get what he wants.
I feel like he'd probably be willing to make a deal with Mephisto to get his mom back.
And that is scary as hell.
Yeah.
Someone with Billy's power teaming up with Mephisto, I think he would.
Imagine having like Ghost Agatha be like, dude, no, like this. We fought death, but no, this is real stuff right here.
That'd be fun.
And I like how they also like kind of didn't they reference death a little bit too? I feel like in this a bit is like, or at least like there are some comparisons to be drawn between like Mephisto taking souls and death being the one that actually like should guide the souls to where they're supposed to go. But Mephisto is unnaturally not just taking souls, but putting souls back into the land of the living. So how will death react to that?
Maddie said, would you want the Champion Project before or after Secret Wars? Ideally, I would love before Doomsday and Secret Wars, right? For we don't have to deal with that stuff with these characters.
I think post Doomsday, but before Secret Wars is the likely position.
I think he'll be... Unfortunately, I think he'll be after both.
Okay.
We don't know of anything that's in between those right now.
But maybe it's a Secret Project. You like there's going to be a large gap in between... Because like Avengers Secret Wars is probably going to be December of 2020. What is it?
7.
Yeah, 7. So like
it's 26, 27.
There technically is time,
and could maybe like a third Doctor Strange in between there too.
Sure, yes. and maybe there's a reason why none of those Young Avengers cast members were announced on those chairs. Yes. We didn't get no Miss Marvel or like Kate Bishop or Haley Steinfeld has been very like snarky over these last couple like last year. Like, I know something.
I forgot. And again, I didn't realize that she was at the end of the Marvels until I just watched it. I was I was like, oh my gosh, like what? Okay, we're definitely doing Young Avengers now. But there's so much crossover to be had, and I think you said it earlier on, is like there are so many elements and pieces of connective tissue that felt very disconnected until now. I think Mephisto is the glue holding this phase together, starting with WandaVision and ending here with Ironheart. Again, whoever thought that we were going to say that, right?
Yeah, because we were still on a point where we thought Kang was going to be that glue. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, we're like, what's the connective thread?
And again,
because there's been nothing. This has been one of my biggest frustrations. We externally as fans, we know Doom is coming, but there has been nothing.
There's
within
no
the
setup
projects to suggest Doom is coming.
And rumor has it there's very little, if anything, even in Fantastic Four to like set that up outside of maybe a post-credit scene.
Which is exactly why you hire Downey, which I don't personally love. I'm
and it's like
not against it. I'm still
in a weird way. Like if somebody presented these two to me, right? Mephisto comes to me with the deal. Would you rather see Robert Downey Jr. come back to the MCU as Doctor Doom? Or would you rather have Mephisto, car salesman and deal extraordinaire, be the big bad of this next MCU phase? I'm choosing Mephisto every day of the week because you have your magic Avengers, right? You've got Doctor Strange. You bring back Wanda. You have Billy and Tommy.
Reyes,
you now have
bring him back.
You now have Ironheart. You have America Chavez and Zelma and all of these characters that we're now introducing. You can bring in Agatha and bring back Death and all of this stuff, right? Bring in the Spider-Man element of it, where again, brand new day versus one more day and all the days,
and right? I think also I think every character has that weakness for something, right? And I think it would have been such a good wrap up of this saga because what has this whole saga been about? If there was a main theme for this entire saga, it would be grief.
Yes,
everybody is grieving and everybody wants something. Everybody would bring in almost any of these MCU characters outside of a few couple where it's like
I think almost everybody would fall into that trap and make that deal. And I think that brings us back to a really good piece of this puzzle as well. Again, I started off with not liking the direction of Riri, thinking that she was unlikable, going down a bad path, right? This back half really made me connect to the character. I love her motivation. I really enjoy her backstory. And I think playing devil's advocate here, more than anything, I wholeheartedly agree with her as far as why she made this deal. I can see why she made this deal. Was it the right choice? No, but I see the vision. No pun intended, right? I see the vision for where they are going. You had to sit back, let them cook, and really get us to this point of, okay, again, somebody who has seen all of this crazy cosmic stuff go down, seeing the connection and bringing the magic element into the life of somebody who's been so tech and science-based until now, and seeing all of this supernatural stuff happen and being like, you know what? Screw it. Let's see what happens. Let's say yes, because what's worse than what's going on right now? I don't have my friend. I don't have my AI. I don't have my stepfather. I don't have a working suit and things like that. It's like, what's the worst that could happen? I've already hit rock bottom. And again, I would be hard-pressed to find anybody in that same position that wouldn't make that choice. Again, big moral dilemma, and that seems to be our theme for this this year's worth of streams is moral dilemmas in these shows. But I think, again, it presents such a great question. And this show did for me what I wanted it to do. Is it changed my opinion on Riri from episode 1 to episode 6. I wholeheartedly really enjoyed the journey. I think she's in a very, very interesting spot, and this might be right now the storyline that I am the most interested in.
I agree.
Outside of whatever's going to go on with Billy, Tommy, possibly bringing back Wanda and the Vision side of things.
Like I said,
I think that really shows.
That whole run of characters is where I'm personally like invested in. Like Kate Bishop, Miss Marvel, somewhat Billy and Tommy, now her, like this kind of side of the MCU. I'm kind of like, well, Doctor
Can't forget Moon Knight.
I will never say that.
Can't forget Eli Bradley.
Sure, I'd love if they threw him in here. I would have preferred if he was in Captain America 4, but
right. We keep seeing more and more things that were cut from that movie, and it makes me sad.
Yep.
Maddie, I 100% agree. Like, I love, again, like I think if they could have had just like a neater through line, I think this could have been a fantastic saga. Like these themes of like grief and sadness and temptation is so cool to see. It's just like getting there is a bit bumpy.
Here's the thing: is there is that through line, right? I mean, in a lot of ways, there is like you said, the grief. What is WandaVision about? Wanda and her grief about the loss of Vision,
and she doesn't really accept it.
Right. What is Agatha about? Agatha and really the grief of losing her child, right? Like that's kind of a big through line there.
Oh yeah.
What is Ironheart about? Riri and the grief of losing her best friend and her stepfather.
Yeah.
What is Doctor Strange about? In a lot of ways, it's his grief of losing the love of his life to somebody else.
That, and then accepting that he doesn't always have to be in control of everything.
Yes. And it brings you back to, this is where I'm going to leave it, is the big theme, the big through line of WandaVision, that big line that Vision said.
What is grief?
What is grief if not love persevering?
Yeah. And I love that line they have in this show where it's like, I forget what the quote is, but it's like, yes, you can forget, but you can forget the bad stuff, but also you're going to forget what makes life worth the living. And it's like,
right, yeah.
Oh man, oh geez, and like that entire set piece when
without the rainy days, we could never appreciate the sunny days.
And that scene where like Natalie is like showing her like, this is what you're fighting for. This is why you do what you do, and it's like, oh god, like it really hit hard.
Dude, this show ended up being so much more emotional, so much deeper than I thought. And again, I was invested for I want to see Mephisto. Let's see the dude that's been the head of all the MCU memes for the last 5 years, right? Yeah. Let's see new rock stars finally get to say Mephisto confirmed.
We do have to like wrap this segment up because there's something I want to do here in a second. But I do want to ask you about, and we may not even ever get this answer. I have a feeling Natalie's side of all this might be one that we never fully get back to, which is a damn shame. But do you think you rewrote reality for so she never died, or did she just poof her back and everyone else in live is like, wait, I thought you died. What are you doing here? Or is it so she never died at all, kind of thing?
I think he just plucked her soul, is what it is. I think it's a soul for a soul. I think that...
Oh, interesting.
We've heard that before.
In order to... is a soul for a soul. There is a balancing act to the universe. And maybe the big thing is going to be, maybe we travel to Mephisto's hell dimension. And you're going to have to make that sacrifice maybe Riri is going to want to sacrifice her own life in order for Natalie to live. But Natalie's like, hey, no, I'm not even supposed to be alive. Let's recreate the AI. You have that, that piece of me is always going to be with you. I shouldn't be here. You're the one who needs to live on and survive and carry on my legacy.
Yeah.
I think that's where that storyline ultimately goes.
Yeah, and like we talked about it last week, but like the main theme of this show that I wanted, or I like the ultimate angle I wanted was Riri to realize with Natalie being here, she's never fully grieved. Like she's someone who never fully grieved over Natalie, and by having her like AI counterpart there, that was like a buffer of like, oh, I don't have to grieve because she's always with me and she's always here. And I do think it has to be a story of like, oh, I have to let you go. I can't. You are holding me back from living my own life, and I've been living in the past, but you have to go now, kind of thing.
Right.
And I think
is this kind of thing it's unnatural,
yes.
right?
Okay, so we're gonna do this tier list pretty quickly. It's pretty late for us because we're already past the 2-hour mark, and we were 45 minutes late. So if anyone has to dip. Oh no! You are good. You are good. So if anyone has to dip throughout any of this, if anyone has to go to bed or whatever,
is
or
this just
Jake,
phase 5?
This is just phase 5. Yes, this is just.
Sorry,
I think this is only like.
You were starting to say something, and I think I cut you off. What was that? Sorry.
Oh, I forget.
You said my name, and then I said something.
Oh, like just in case you want to head to the other place we go on Monday nights. You're more than welcome to.
Is that going?
Mephisto's Hell Dimension?
That's like 25 minutes from now, so maybe we might be done with you.
Taz, that's Fridays.
So I have the entirety of Phase 5. Jake, I'm pretty sure you've seen all of these. Taz, I think there's a couple here you
there's
haven't
a couple that
seen.
I haven't. Yeah.
I also only put things that are like outside of What If, like canon to the main 616 timeline. So I don't have X-Men 97 because that would be here. I also don't have Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Although I would argue Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is like really close to being.
I mean, it's canon to the multiverse in the way that What If is. I feel
honestly, X-Men 97 kind of is too, because Allison C was as What If Storm and X-Men 97 Storm. So
and technically, isn't the Beast from the end of the Marvels supposed to be X-Men 97, or is that supposed to be Fox X-Men?
It's like a whole new version of the character.
It's a new version we haven't seen.
Okay, just looks comic accurate.
I don't know if Kelsey's going to come back as that Beast or as normal Fox Beast that we know,
or both.
Both could be.
And this is a good chance for you, Taz, because I feel like I haven't talked about most of these projects with you. Some of these were like when you were gone. Some of these you just watched last night. So we're going to have fun going through a couple of these. All right, starting off here, we have the kicker, which I'd argue this might be one of the worst openings to a phase that we have ever got. This is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Poor Ant-Man, man. Holy shit. Like, this movie has aged horribly since this movie was announced. 2 of the main actors have quit acting. Kang the Conqueror.
I saw that. Yeah. This movie literally broke. It was like Quantumania broke the Ant-Man cast. Is like Michael Douglas retired. What's her name? Evangeline Lilly retired.
Good for him.
Like Paul Rudd aged 20 years, and
that, I mean, good for him though, because you could tell he was done. He was sick of this shit by 3.
I was just trashing this movie so hard when it came out because they recasted Cassie with, I think, a much worse actress.
Oh, yeah.
MODOK was done horribly. I mean, I don't like MODOK as a character, period, so I knew I wasn't going to like this going in. I find it absolutely hilarious that the Wasp is a title character in this movie and does not a damn thing. She does nothing in this movie, and she's in the title of it. But Michelle Pfeiffer's Wasp gets the focus, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
The Quantum Realm, for some reason, looks...
Quantum Realm.
It looks a lot uglier than in previous iterations, and they spend the entire movie there. And now that we know Kang isn't the big bad, it works better as a one-off because it left a really bad taste in people's mouths that, like, wait, this is supposed to be your big bad of the saga and Ant-Man beats him? Mm-hmm. So even then, that doesn't make the movie better for me. I'm still putting this movie, I would put it in F, but you don't have F, so I'll just say D.
Yeah, D. I mean, D here is basically
bury it under the tier list and throw away the key.
Yeah, this is one of my lowest.
Leave it in the Quantum Realm and never open the gate.
This is one of my lowest MCU movies as well. And I think when I came out of it, I remember just feeling like nothing either way. Like I didn't hate it, but I remember being like, we have to raise the bar.
I
We
just
have
felt apathy.
Like I
It's
drove.
such a-
Okay, small side note. I live like 4 hours away from my family, and I was rushing back home because we had a screening for this that was like in the afternoon. So I left early one morning to get there, and I'm just sitting there thinking, I broke traffic laws for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it,
No.
and it's like I think
No.
like this was kind of a breaking point for a lot of MCU fans. Like I think after this movie, I saw like many people I knew who love it was like, I'm done. I can't do more of these, and I understand. Like again, I don't think it's even like unwatchable. Like I think it's fine. I think it's the most like nothing movie that's ever been made. It smells of like corporate like
Sludge.
No, it just makes
yeah.
it makes Thor: The Dark World look like a good movie.
Yeah, kind of.
That's not even the worst one in that franchise anymore.
No, yeah, you're right.
It's nothing, and it sucks because I think a movie like this had so much potential.
Yeah, it was a little too big for its britches.
Especially with
Yeah.
Eamon as a character. Like I was really excited
Yeah.
to see him post Endgame, and there was this story about like loss of time and this
Good
narrative that you
potential.
could have told with Scott of like kind of like what we're doing with like Agatha right now. Or, I'm sorry, not Agatha. Mephisto right now, where it's like, wait, you can offer me my time with my kid back? What do I have to do? Not even in the movie. It was just for like the trailers, and it pissed me off because that sounded incredible to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be at the very bottom there, I think.
What
I
is
think
that,
everyone's in
Echo?
agreement there, right? With
Yeah.
okay.
100%.
What is that next thing? Echo?
Guardians of the
Oh,
Galaxy
Guardians 3.
Volume 3. It was
Okay,
kind of a weird poster.
Oh.
Yeah.
I couldn't see the title. Sorry.
This one I'm very interested to where it ranks. I feel like we might be all over the place with
Ooh.
it.
We will be.
That's tough. I think I have to go A tier, honestly. Like it can't quite be an S tier for me because I put the first Guardians kind of on the level of S tier. I think it is probably one of the most perfect endings to the trilogy that you can do based off of where these characters are left at the end of Endgame / Infinity War. I think in a lot of ways, as much as the big story of Gamora and Thanos were very vital to the Infinity War Endgame story, it left us kind of backed into a corner as far as what we could do with that final movie. And I think Gunn did the best he could with trying to bring the original team back together in as much of a way as he possibly could. I think it's still got all of the elements of the first 2 movies that I love. Maybe it doesn't have the strongest soundtrack of them all. Maybe it doesn't have the strongest story of them all, but I think it still really hits those emotional beats and embodies the themes of the Guardians that I come to love. And again, I will say this until the end of time that Guardians 1 is my favorite MCU movie. Thank you, Maddie. I appreciate that.
Who's taxed?
That is the other version of Mephisto. He's an IRS agent. So Guardians 1 is still my favorite MCU movie of all time. It will always be number 1 for me.
Oh yeah.
But with that said, that would put that in S tier. Guardians 3 is not quite on that level, so A tier. I kind of went on a bit of a tangent there, but
That's fine. Let me go next because I know Jake has thoughts. This is personally one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, there's only 3 MCU movies that get in my favorite movie list of all time, and Guardians 3 is one of them. It's my personal favorite Guardians movie. I think like there's been no other MCU movie that has emotionally got that emotion out of me that Guardians did. Got that emotional just sorrow out of me. What they did with Rocket and his whole backstory. I think the High Evolutionary is one of the best MCU villains they ever did. by far. Like, I know the MCU struggled with villains. They've really kept, they've been through the mud, and that guy, like, there is no God, so I stepped in. It's like, oh God, and I think they really, really kill it. Is it perfect? No. And Jake is going to go into some of that. I think the stuff with Adam Warlock, that's the stuff. As someone who doesn't know the character very well, I wasn't affected by it, but even then I'm like, yeah, that could have been done better. And there's some like little pacing issues that could have been like, that could have been done better. But to me, it's an S tier. But I'm curious kind of where we land as the overall. So we have an S, we have an A. Jake, where are you putting it?
So going into this movie, I was nervous because, like Taz, Guardians 1 is not my favorite MCU movie, but it is definitely one of them. I really, really like it. Guardians 2 is actually quite low on my list of MCU films. I don't really like that one as much. And this one is kind of in the middle of the three for me. I think
I would agree with that.
The emotional moments hit. Rocket being my favorite Guardian, I liked that this one focused a lot on him. They got some emotional moments out of me. I never expected to be in a movie theater crying over a CGI raccoon or cheer whenever he said, "I'm Rocket Raccoon." I never expected to do those kind of things. Never expected that sort of reaction. I liked how, you got to see it, coming off of something like the holiday special, Peter Quill, like you really see how just depressed and vacant he is in this movie.
Yeah.
And grief.
Whenever, Rocket's life is on the line, that is really kind of put to the forefront. And even more so through a character like Nebula, because she has that bond with Rocket of the two of them being the only ones that survived the snap. And, they really created that bond there. I love that scene whenever Gamora is like, "You're going to sacrifice my life over this dying rat. I'm family." She goes, "He's family too."
Yeah.
I think I'm going to paraphrase there, but love that stuff.
That scene, it may be in my top 5 MCU moments now.
It's great.
When Nebula, like they're trying to save Rocket, and like Nebula's on the other line, not knowing if he's alive. He's like, he's alive, and she's like, she's able to breathe. It's like, oh God, just thank God. It's it wrecks me, absolutely destroys me.
100%.
Yeah, like Darren said, some of my biggest issues with this movie are the Adam Warlock stuff. I really don't like what they did with that character. They just made him into a complete idiot.
He's kind of a goof.
And also, just from a cinematography standpoint, I hate those like front up flying view shots where it's just the static floating like this.
Well, no, I mean, don't you hope that's how Superman looks the entire time?
That's what I'm worried about. But,
don't you want Superman's flying shots to just be a GoPro strapped to his head that's like sat out in front of him?
I hated it in Guardians 3. I hated it in Black Adam. I could go on, but anyway.
Oh God.
This movie has strengths. I like a lot about it. I'm also not a fan of the Gamora stuff because she didn't really feel like a character because we had already
Gamora?
Exactly. But
why?
For this one, I'm gonna go B.
You're going B. Okay, so I think we're going to have to meet in the middle with an A. If I'm S, if you're A, if he's B, we're going to meet in that A.
I can compromise there.
Yeah.
Secret Invasion. Let's just throw that up to
under the tier list again. Like, dude, I don't even feel like talking. I don't even feel like talking about this show, dude. This was like
just trash the fuck out of this.
If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. If you want to hear our thoughts on it, we covered it.
We reviewed every single episode.
You poor bastards.
I actually felt bad because Taz didn't tell me he was not having a good time with it, and I wish he would have.
So the only thing I learned watching Secret Invasion was that when it was so dark, I realized my phone had like screen burn in. That's about it.
No, this is just This is the Thor: Love and Thunder of Phase 5. Just the single worst thing they produced.
How do you make the Sam Jackson-led series the worst series out of all of them?
And you make what should have been an Avengers movie into the most boring, uninteresting TV show.
And present way more questions than answers as far as people being Skrulls.
Right.
And it doesn't end. Series doesn't end. It just stops. It's like, oh, pause.
Yeah, it's like, all right, yeah, he's got to go do the Marvels now. And then he proceeds to be a completely different character, goes back to the Nick Fury that we all know and love. The kind of goofy, like, he honestly, in the Marvels, he acts more like he does in, like, Spider-Man No Way, or Far From Home.
Far From Home.
Which technically wasn't even him.
Right. But yeah, I don't really want to talk about that anymore, so can we just move on?
Yeah. Loki season 2. Yeah, this is
just season 2.
Yeah, just season 2. Season 1 was Phase 4.
Ooh. Let me start off, and then I'll let you guys talk. I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick. Loki season 2, I didn't like as much as the first season. I think the first season was huge in spectacle. So was season 2, but the fact that I went into season 2 knowing that we weren't going to fully realize anything with Kang, I couldn't really connect with this season. It felt like a remnant of the old MCU plan when we were building towards Kang being that big ultimate threat. And then the fact that we then knew, okay, he's kind of just going to be, again, this like one-off villain. This is going to be his last big appearance. We're probably never going to hear from or see him again after this. It just felt very, I wouldn't say pointless, but disconnected in a lot of ways. This Loki is not, again, he's not the Loki that we knew. He's not the Loki that we followed. And that shouldn't necessarily matter in a lot of ways because, again, multiverse, all this. I like, Owen Wilson's character a lot. I think, again, a lot of the elements that carry over. I think Sylvie's a good character. But just, I don't know. I just never connected with season 2 as much as I did with that first season. I really, really liked the first season of Loki. I couldn't get behind that second season. And then it ending with him being like the dream weaver of the multiverse, like holding all these threads. Like, I just thought I was like, I didn't really understand how we got there. Like maybe that's like in a skill issue, but it didn't feel as satisfying as it was presented. If that makes any sense. Again, not that it was a bad show. I think, again, it's still pretty good. I just really enjoyed the first season and wish that they had formulated season 2 a little bit closer to season 1. I think season 2 just went a little too out there for me. So I would say B tier. I think it's enjoyable. I think it's solid, but it's not something that I would rush back to seeing again.
I know we talked about this in like our overall series ranking we did back in December, but yeah, like I was gobsmacked when we talked about it last time because it's easily my favorite Disney Plus TV period. Like I think it's like top 3 in my entire like it's in my top 3 MCU projects period. Like I think it's like a masterpiece. And like I think like I don't know, I think it kind of changed the game for me in terms of what they can do and these characters. Like I think it's such an improvement upon every single character it sets out to do. Like Loki feels like such an improvement upon what he was in the main timeline. And I think this is easily Kang's best appearance, and what they did with Jonathan. I think this is like Jonathan Major's best performance. And I think there's this character, this again, the story about grief and what it means to be a changed man, and how they were really able to kind of mess with this idea of like Loki's still this guy he's always been, but we're evolving him into something different. I didn't love season 1 that much. Like I thought season 1 was like pretty good. I thought it was like a B tier. And I thought like this to me personally, like up to that scale, up into a way that we hadn't seen before. And I kind of saw it as a way of like, I'm grateful for Loki because it is our wrap up for Kang. Like, it wasn't supposed to be, but I think we can kind of look at this season and be like, that's where we wrapped it all up. It wasn't supposed to be. It shouldn't have been. But I think it almost makes Loki season 2 better. Like, in retrospective, it almost probably should have been
that. It's kind
probably
of
should
like
have been the wrap up of Phase 4. Yeah, like ideally, if you could have, you could have had Ant-Man and this speed the like wrap up a Phase 4 and be like, okay, that was a little saga. Now this next little thing. You know, if we could have prepared for all that stuff. But I love it. How about you, Jake?
So I really enjoyed season 2. I think there were a number of areas where I thought it was better than season 1 because even though I enjoyed some of the early episodes of season 1, I feel like the plot kind of took a bit to get going. But season 2, I feel like they kind of took all the best things about season 1 and improved upon it. You know, it had great performances. One of, if not like the best soundtracks out of any MCU show.
Agreed.
It was fantastic. The visuals, the world building, I thought that was all great. And that time loop plot that they pulled off, really cool. I liked that a lot. And I think this series, I think more than like, I was about to say more than anything else, but it's just Ant-Man. They really built up the threat of Kang to make him really seem like a physical threat before that was kind of tarnished by Quantumania. But, you know, they really laid the groundwork for what could have been a fantastic saga-long villain. And
yeah,
I will say, though, like, this was kind of the one thing up until now that kind of kept the multiverse saga connected until we were getting to, like, the Ironheart Mephisto stuff that leads all the way back to the WandaVision speculation. This was kind of that one thing that was connecting it all. Like, you could have just gone from, you know, Loki season 1, season 2, and then straight to the Kang Dynasty, and then that would have been kind of a complete story. You know, that obviously didn't go through for a number of reasons, but I think the series was still great. I think the last episode is probably the single best episode of the show. I absolutely love it. And I'm really curious to see, you know, because that show kind of, it had such a like open, but also there was such a finality to it. Now I'm curious to see
Doomsday.
what aspires with him in Doomsday. I'm curious to see where that happens and how Thor interacts with this new version of Loki.
Agreed. That's gonna be very fun. Where would you put it on your ranking?
I would say A.
I think we're gonna keep it an A. Like, I think I'm an S, he's a B, so I think it's that same Guardians thing. Where
yeah, same thing.
Throw it in between the two of them.
Except me and Taz had reversed rankings on this one.
Yeah. The Marvels, which Taz, you just watched last night. It's very
two nights ago. Yeah, it's super fresh actually. Yeah.
He's like, and I already don't remember what happened.
No, it's funny. So I saw a lot of negativity around this movie, but before watching it, and that definitely influenced me not seeing it right when it first came out. Again, I've mentioned this multiple times. Like, I have not been going to the theaters to see a lot of movies unless I'm super, super hyped for it, right? Like, I knew kind of the lead up to it. I knew that in the Miss Marvel series, like, you kind of get revealed, okay, she's a mutant. She's got kind of these, you know, ties to these, you know, mystical gauntlets, and the whole kind of cliffhanger to that was that she swapped places with Captain Marvel, right? And that's kind of the setup for the movie, is we're drawing in from technically the end of WandaVision with Monica. We've got the end of Secret Invasion, technically with Nick Fury, and then the end of Miss Marvel with the swapping of places because of the powers. And I actually think the whole crux and the gimmick of the movie was actually a fun concept. Is that they use their powers and they swap places. Like, it's silly, it's goofy, but it's fun. Like, I think in a lot of ways this movie was just fun. Like we've said multiple times, the theme of this phase has been grief. I think, yes, there are elements of grief. We have Monica dealing with still the death of her mother. We have Carol kind of dealing with the fact that, oh, she never came back to then help Monica get through this. But there are still a lot of like fun, silly elements to it. You've kind of got like a cheesy, like, I want revenge kind of villain. It's nothing revolutionary by any means, but I think it's a solid movie. Like, I don't think that there's necessarily anything wrong with it. That being said, again, it's not revolutionary, it's not amazing. I would say a solid B tier for this one.
I really enjoy a lot of the Marvels. It's one of those movies that I argue with people where, I say there's not a lot of nuance in our conversations about the MCU sometimes, and I point to the Marvels a lot because with this movie, when it came out, it was either you love it, or you hate it. And if you say things about it, it's like, oh, so you must have hated the movie. It's like, no. There's a lot of things to love here. There's a lot of really cool things. There's also a lot of things that just don't work in here for me. There's a lot of problems with this movie that hold it back from being great. I really enjoy this movie. But I also haven't rewatched it since it came out, which is, a big indicator to me that maybe it could, had some things that could have messed up with it.
Yeah.
I love this trio. This trio I need to see again. I'd love to see these guys on the level of these characters. It definitely has a villain problem. It definitely has a plot problem, has a pacing problem, sometimes has a tone problem. But it is so much fun that it's hard not to just have a blast with it. Like I came out with a smile on my face being like, that was really fun. Yeah. But I can't wait to talk about what didn't work with it also when it came out. So I actually do think I actually kind of agree with you with B tier, where it's like, it's kind of right in the middle. Like it's not.
It's like it's inoffensive. I feel like that's the best way to put it. Yeah.
It is fine. It is a fine movie.
Yeah, and it's like if you like fun, silly MCU projects, there's nothing inherently wrong with it.
Yeah. How about you, Jake? I think you're slightly more negative on this one than we are, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I still think the first one's much better.
I also don't
really.
I
disagree with that one actually.
Really?
I like this one way more than the first one. Yeah.
Interesting. No, I love like the 90s nostalgia element of the first movie. But go ahead. That's a topic for another day.
Hey, they crashed into a blockbuster. I got a kick out of it, but I don't know, the trio in this movie going into it, I figured that was going to be the thing that carried it. Unfortunately, 2/3 of this trio I don't particularly care for. That is Carol and Monica. I don't particularly connect with either one of those characters. So the big saving grace of this movie for me was Kamala. Liked what she brought, from just a charismatic standpoint, but also her power set I thought was the most creatively used. Like you said, definitely a villain problem, definitely a prop problem. The director even came out and said, "Yeah, this was not my movie."
100%.
It was chopped and edited to bits, and apparently, in some early versions of this, there was like a Disney princess type of aesthetic to the film that was removed completely by the time they got to production. So curious to see what that would have been like. If they would have kept that in, maybe that would have drawn in more Disney fans. Maybe it would have made more money. Who knows? But I struggle with this film. Like I think, like I said, Kamala definitely carries it. The post-credit scene with Beast is cool. But I definitely like it more than Ant-Man, so I'll put this one at C.
Okay. I do think it's still going to land at
I'm not mad at any spot where your things ends up. Like it's your list at the end of the day. I'm just giving my insights.
Yeah.
It just balances out. 2 B's, 1 C. Just balances out like that.
Perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get through the rest of these on a semi-quicker note. What if season 2?
You and I are going to be busy tonight. That's season 3, isn't it?
No,
it's 2 and 3 are split up.
This is 2. This is 3 right here. Yeah, both. The only TV show that's had 2 seasons in one phase.
Maddie, I agree. That single episode of What If is the best thing they ever made.
Yeah. That'd be fun to rank the What If episodes at some point. That would be.
Yeah.
worst idea. Season 2, though, man, and Tash, you haven't seen season 2, right?
No, I haven't seen season 2 or 3.
I'm trying to remember season 2.
Season 2 was my personal favorite season of What If, which isn't necessarily saying a lot, because I think the whole show as a whole, it just kind of depends on the episodes you're choosing to watch. But I remember the back half of that show just like really speeding up into something really cool, at least until the finale, where I thought the finale kind of went off the rails a little bit. But like I remember there being some really, really cool episode here, especially the Kawasa episode that we had. That was like, okay, this is something really, really great. But I do think it struggles with the same thing. Same thing the season 3 kind of struggles with, but worse. But like, of just like it didn't need to build to this huge climactic multiverse like war ending. It's just like you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to.
They really lost sight of their concept of what if something in a Marvel movie happened a little bit differently, to picking these completely random, silly, unrelated concepts that just got weirder and weirder every time. So like my enjoyment of What If decreases with each season. So I'll probably put it in B.
I was thinking B too. Yeah. And like just like while we're at it, let's just do season 3. Just do them together.
Yeah. Sounds like season 3 is probably a C.
It has good things about it. Like, you know, I kind of like Sam as Captain America there. We've got to see a little more of it. This is also all we've seen of Shang-Chi since his movie, which sucks, but we got a little bit of it at least. Got Allison Seeley Smith back as Storm. That was cool, but like I said about season 2, they just got weirder and sillier with the concepts, and season 3 is that times 10.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Season 3 is kind of a mess. Taz was here, like when me and Darth were breaking it down. And like he was kind of like, "What the heck is this season?" Like,
again, my concept. What if the show was good?
Yeah.
I still don't think they were able to surpass themselves or even getting close to the quality of that Doctor Strange episode from season 1.
Oh yeah,
so awesome.
I feel like I dropped out at the perfect time. Season 1 was good, and I heard just declining things about seasons 2 and 3. So
yeah. Echo season 1.
Did not see that outside of the.
Right?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it outside of the little Daredevil scene.
Great scene, awesome scene.
Yeah, great scene.
Ranking it just off of that, we'll give it.
Didn't hear much about it though.
Give it like a B, probably B or C.
Yeah. I really like Echo. I like Echo a lot more than most people. I may be one of the only, like the very few people that are like, hell yeah, Echo. I love what's here. I think like what is presented is really good in my opinion. The issue, and it's very similar to like Secret Invasion, it's not done. They didn't finish the show. They literally like told the people on set, "You are done." You're like this was the era that like Bob Iger was kind of coming back, and things were kind of like everyone's running off with like a chicken with their head cut off. And they had, I'm pretty sure it was at least 7 or 8 episode season. And they had 5, and they said, "You're done. Wrap it up."
Yeah.
And that's so apparent. It's so clear that they had stuff there that they just couldn't do, and it's like, okay, whatever we have here, work with it. I think what's there is good. It's just not finished, and I can't properly rank it because it's not a full season. And I've said if they wanted to do a season 2 of this with a proper showrunner and a show Bible and a proper skip and a whole season of TV, I would be down. That's not here, unfortunately.
Right. No, it's unfortunate because I think this had the potential to be something phenomenal, kind of, like something in the vein of a Daredevil. I think it had potential as something to be really something that stands on its own. They could have played, fast and loose with some of the comic material because Echo hasn't had that many comic appearances. So they could have definitely gotten creative with a lot of the choices that they made. But I mean, as a show, what's there is like competently made. It's well edited. It's well put together. But it's like, as far as the TV series go, I'd say it's about as fine can get, which is unfortunate because I think the character deserves a lot better.
Agreed.
But from what we got, I wanted to like it more than I did. I would probably put it at C, but I definitely wanted to like it more than I did.
That's fair. That's valid. Like, I liked it enough to put it at like an A, but like I can't. I physically can't do that. I physically can't put like an unfinished show at like higher than it is, and like it ultimately
Right.
like in my large ranking, it's like in my bottom 5 or like in my bottom 10 because it's not done.
Yeah.
Right.
Maddie said didn't see Echo. Well, neither did Matt Murdock. So
Didn't hear much about it either.
yep. Deadpool and Wolverine. I think both these
Ooh.
fellas would agree. That's a D tier. Let's move on. Call it a day.
D for Deadpool.
W for win.
Dude, this movie was so good. I'm just debating, should I just throw it an S? Because
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. This was like the first MCU movie of this phase that I was actually really, really excited for, outside of Guardians Volume 3. I think the only other MCU movie I've seen in theaters this phase as well. Next to Guardians 3. So it's got to at least be an A tier for me. But I think it's multiverse done right. I think it is that kind of buddy cop adventure done right. I think the marketing did wonders for this movie. It was so hyped up and marketed as an event film. It did all of the things that you would have hoped that Deadpool joining the Marvel Universe would do for you. And I just remember having such a good time leading up to the movie, watching the movie, talking about the movie after it had come out. I just remember rushing to make my review video, and I really enjoyed it. So I think not just for the context of what the movie itself is, but for the memories as well that I have surrounding it, I got to give it S tier. That's just me personally,
That's
though.
fair.
Oh wow.
See,
Hey Jake.
I don't know with this one because yeah, there's so many things that I love about it. You know, we got Deadpool coming into the MCU. We got Hugh Jackman's Wolverine coming back with a whole plethora of his comic book costumes. We got a lot of these different Fox characters coming back too, even ones that had never gotten their screen time before, like Channing Tatum's Gambit. We got
Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
And he did. We got great returns from characters like Blade, Johnny Storm, and I appreciated that they had Jennifer Garner there. That Elektra's not a well-regarded film at all, but they didn't ignore it. But I think because a big critique that people have for this movie is its story, but I think the individual character arcs are where the quote unquote story shines, because Wade wants to find his purpose outside of Vanessa, and Logan, this Logan wants to, he's kind of just done with the world. He blames himself for what happened to his X-Men and doesn't really feel worthy of the costume anymore. And, they say, oh, like, why do they always have to take these heroes and make them broken, sad old men? It's like, that's kind of always been who Wolverine is. But the individual character arcs, I think, are definitely stronger than the quote-unquote story itself. Because when you look at just the plot of this movie and what ties the actions together, admittedly, it's pretty weak. Also, despite her giving a great performance, I was not the biggest fan of Cassandra Nova in this movie. Gave a great performance, but I felt the villain was very much lacking in development, because they repeatedly make the case of she's so evil, and they go, why? And they say she's just evil, no one really knows. And she even says, I wish I knew why I was this way, which just really kind of felt hollow to me. But like on an entertainment level, this would be a 10 out of 10, no question.
Agreed.
But because of a few plot things that bring it down, I would put it at an A, but it's still a very, very strong A.
I think on just Phase 5, it's an A for me. I think on my larger MCU, it'd probably be like a B, where it's like really, really good but not perfect. I kind of agree with what you're saying, Taz. I think just like I do have a lot of memories with this movie. I remember being on like 4 different live streams talking about it, and also like that era was probably the most I've ever streamed because we had Deadpool and Wolverine and also Downey coming back as Dune like days
you're right.
after each other.
Yeah.
You're
and
right.
like say what you want about that, but like that was such an insane moment.
That little era there for a couple weeks was insane.
And I saw this like 3 times in theaters.
I think I saw it twice, which is different for me. I don't.
This is the most I've ever
twice.
seen a movie in theaters. I saw it 3 times.
Yeah,
and I didn't mean to. Like it was like I always see like I try to see MCU movies twice. I try to see it twice, especially if I had to talk about it. And then my friend, like as soon as I saw it the second time, my friend's like, "Hey, we're going today. Do you want to go?" And I was like, "I guess." And like it's one of those weird things because like I know some people say it's like one of the most like the unrewatchable MCU movies. I disagree.
I wholeheartedly disagree. I think it's so easy to kind of just turn it on and just like I probably would have gone and seen it a third time if people weren't posting Deadpool dancing to NSYNC Bye 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 online like a million times a day.
And I love how people that did not grow up with that song like people in the 90s did. I love how they're now calling it the Deadpool song.
Well, they changed the official title of it. Like if you look it up now, like on YouTube or on Spotify, it's like NSYNC Bye 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 from Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah,
that's so funny.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I mean, like Darren knows this. Like I am a huge I'm a huge fan of the X-Men side of the world.
What?
So that movie definitely did a lot for me as far as that goes. So at that part, I was at least happy. We got to see that. Probably one of my favorite parts was the whole Wolverine montage where they're going through all those different versions.
Yeah.
Seeing the recreation of those covers. Like the fangirl inside me was just squealing. And then, of course, they pay it off with the Cavalrine.
The Cavalrine.
Yeah, we could praise this movie for as long as we could shit talk Secret Invasion, so I think we should just
True.
Yeah,
100% agree.
True.
Agatha all along. Oh boy, Taz, you kind of joined our Agatha late.
So let me save my thoughts for after I hear your guys' position on this one, since I led off with Deadpool. So you guys.
Well, I think I think this is gonna be another one where for me and Jake slightly disagree because I know this isn't one of your all-time favorites. I loved Agatha a lot. I really loved Agatha a lot, but I think also Agatha was just right up my alley in terms of the kind of shows. Like I love the like young adult teen drama kind of shows. Like those are the kind of things that are very up my alley. I thought this was such a breath of fresh air for Marvel and kind of what I wanted them to be doing with a lot of their TV shows. It feels a lot more TV coded than a lot of the other stuff we've got. Like it feels like you had something very capable on their hands, and I think like there's not really a bad episode in here for me. Like usually it's like, okay, it either has a really good start and a bad end, or a bad start or good end, And I feel like from kind of start to finish, it really worked for me. I think every twist kind of worked for me. I wouldn't say it's an S tier. I don't think there's anything in here that's like, oh my gosh, this is the best of the MCU. But I think it's like really capable on its own. I think it's one of the best like complete projects start to finish for Marvel. So for me, it's like an A. I think it'd be an A tier for me. Probably my number 3 project or probably number 4 project out of everything on this list.
Okay.
How about you, Jake?
So going into this, I didn't expect to like this series at all. I didn't think it was a character that should get her own spin-off series. I didn't think it was a show that should even exist. But by the time I got to the end of it, I was interested. Catherine Hahn brought on a great performance as Agatha. And, you got what I think a lot of projects have tried and failed to do is giving you a non-heroic protagonist. I think that was kind of a breath of fresh air because you haven't really done that. And admittedly, the plot of going from trial to trial on that witch's road, it was basic, but it did what it needed to do.
Yeah.
And it had that mystery of the teen the entire time, which I thought was a good narrative through line that connected the episodes together. There was some camp with the writing and the performances from time to time, but I grew up with a lot of campy movies, so that didn't really bother me. There are definitely parts that I liked. I'm not going to say that I was ever like blown away by everything.
Sure.
So I'll say B, because I definitely liked it more than I expected, but I also didn't expect to like it remotely. So
yeah, I agree honestly with both of you guys on this one. Is like it was surprisingly very, very enjoyable. And not that, again, I went into it thinking that it was going to be bad, but I just didn't go into it thinking that I would enjoy it as much as I did. I think in some ways it kind of started off a little bit slower after the first couple of episodes. Once I kind of got a feel for where the show was going, you kind of get everything sort of laid out there for you, and it's like, okay, this is the formula, this is what we're heading towards. And once it kind of kicked itself into gear, I really did enjoy this show. They tried to kind of recapture that lightning in a bottle that they had with WandaVision in, paying homage to different eras and different styles of TV. Really?
That's probably a hot take, but I think I liked it because, like, to me, it all came down to how it ended. Right?
Okay.
Like I didn't like how like WandaVision ended, and I really liked how Agatha ended. So
interesting.
I put it above.
Interesting. It's funny. It's like I like WandaVision despite the ending, if that makes sense.
Because it leads right into
everything. Yeah, I think it's everything that WandaVision does leading up to the ending, and really outside of just the big CGI fight. Like, I think everything else is great in WandaVision. I think for Agatha, again, a little bit of a slower start. I think the ending was very shocking, very surprising, but very fitting. And it made me really enjoy the characters more than I did going into it, and get me excited for where we see them go to next, especially, again, Vision Quest wise. So I think I'm teetering between an A and a B. I'm inclined to push it to A. Also, the Witch's Road song is a straight up banger.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of goes down to you, Taz, because Jake did B, I did A, so you get the defining voice here.
The final say, I will give it the benefit of the doubt and give it an A tier. I will give it an A tier because, again, it surprised me. It pleasantly surprised me with how much I enjoyed it, and I was kicking myself for the fact that I wasn't watching it week to week, but I did definitely like the fact that I could sit there and binge the whole thing.
And like we had also just like and that helps with it. Like if I binged this show, I don't think I would have liked it. Like I think it was fine, but like it was the weekly conversations and theories that we did on this show that made it so fun. It's like, okay, if they do this, does this mean this? Like, what happens if this character?
Well, I did love hearing you and Darth talking about it.
Yeah,
like that made
it's a
me
fun,
want to watch the show. Yeah,
for sure. All right, Captain America. What is it? Brave New World. We're in 2025 now. It's crazy that all four of these have come out in 2025. Captain America 4. Oh boy. Which you have also just watched this, Taz. Let's start with you. Since it's very recent. You just watched this. We talked about it quite a bit this year about the movie, but you've been kind of like, well, I'll wait. I haven't fully seen it. Are you satisfied with this one, or?
I'm satisfied with the fact that I waited for it to be on Disney Plus. And I think in a weird way, I've been sitting on it a little bit. It felt more like a show than a movie, especially watching it on Disney Plus. Sure. And in another way as well is I kind of am thinking I enjoyed Falcon and Winter Soldier more than Cap 4. I think it retreaded a lot of the same dilemmas that we already covered in that series.
Right.
We had the Sam doesn't feel worthy of being Captain America. We had the whole thing with Isaiah Bradley being, wronged by the government and things like that. We had the whole, it even like jokingly was kind of brought up, but should I have taken the super soldier serum?
Right.
Just little elements like that I'm like, okay, I thought we already kind of got past it. Like maybe a little bit of retread, just kind of like a refresher, but it felt like a large chunk of the movie was just retreading old plot threads. I never really felt like things got going until that final act of the movie when like everything was laid out on the table. Harrison Ford fully became Red Hulk, that sort of thing, but it only lasted for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, not even
At that, if that, like 10, 15 minutes at the end of the movie. Like it just felt like a whole lot of build up to nothing outside of, okay, Sam Wilson is the new Captain America and he needs to put the Avengers back together. But I thought that that's kind of where we ended Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Right.
So to me, it felt very skippable in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like there were a couple like interesting cameos. We had Bucky come in, but again, we saw him for an entire series. We had Ross's daughter pop up right at the very end.
Betty, yeah.
To me, that scene looked weird. Like she looked like she was like digitally inserted or something. I don't know what was going on in that final scene. And also the post-credit scene where Sam went back to talk to the leader was bad. It was very obviously like filmed on a green screen post. Like this was filmed in Anthony Mackie's backyard the weekend before the movie came out.
Right, because Sam didn't need that. We as an audience didn't need that.
Nobody needed that. It's like, oh, Sam Wilson, there's threats outside of your universe, so be ready for it. Be ready for Avengers Doomsday. Wink, wink. No, I don't need that. Like,
right, yeah.
Again, I think the Harrison Ford recast as Ross, great. I think when they leaned into kind of like the espionage spy elements, like I did see parts of Winter Soldier in this movie, but I couldn't help but think that this was just a worse version of Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And like that feels like a mean comparison. And here's the thing. I love Anthony Mackie. I think I really, really enjoy him as Cap. I liked his suit at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier better. I liked his character arc in Falcon and the Winter Soldier better. I think I liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier a lot better, and I kind of gave that show a little bit of flack when it came out. But looking at this movie and comparing it to that show, I was like, oh.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
Exactly. So I can't give this any higher than a C.
I think the further we move away, and I think me and Jake were talking about this earlier over on Party Nation, this was production hell. This was so clearly trapped in like, you need to do this and this and this, and trapped in controversy, and trapped in a writer's strike, and trapped in, in some ways COVID in those very, very early days. And like, I like elements of this movie a lot. Actually, I kind of adore that first act. I think that first act is actually kind of incredible. Yeah. Like I love like Captain America kind of like showing where he is in the world. His dynamic with Bradley, I think, is incredible. Mm-hmm. Clearly setting up a lot of great themes and ideas. And then that second act hits, and it's clear it just kind of crumbles to the ground. And they try to pick it back up in that third act, but none of it feels earned, feels satisfying, feels ready to wrap up this incredible movie. And it's a damn shame, because this should be one of the biggest movies in the MCU. This is Captain America, the foundation to what makes the Infinity Saga work.
And this is Captain America 4, but this is technically Captain America 2-1. You know what I mean? Like this is Sam Wilson's first solo Captain America movie. Yeah. If you don't count Falcon and the Winter Soldier as the first Captain America movie. Yeah. But again, this feels like this could have been a weird second season of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, this was frustrating for me, because I wanted to love this movie. I like Sam Wilson a lot as Cap. I think Isaiah Bradley was probably my favorite part of both the show and the movie, probably. Mm-hmm. I loved his character. He was the beating heart of it. But I've said this over on Party Nation too. I think it would have been so good to, complete his arc of first feeling like the forgotten soldier, the forgotten Captain America, the one that the government abandoned, and have him be the one to come back and help Sam at the final fight against Red Hulk.
Which he was. It seems like he was supposed to, because there was that set picture that just came out today with him in a suit, or the stunt double in a suit.
It was just set up so poorly that Sam had to be the one to do it alone, because the whole point of the show where he became Captain America was that he didn't have to do it alone. And you can clearly tell that, it's clear as day that reshoots are riddled within this movie.
Oh my god! Some parts,
the entire inclusion of Giancarlo's character, you can tell, done in reshoots. They hired him a year after principal photography.
He did nothing.
They wasted Giancarlo Esposito.
Some conflict with the Red Hulk doesn't even really need to be there, because by the time it happens, Stearns has already won. He's already embarrassed Ross. He's already discredited him. He did exactly what he accomplished. So the conflict with Red Hulk really didn't add any stakes. And if that's going to be if that's only going to be 5 minutes of your movie, don't use that as the crux on all your marketing.
And don't even get me started too in the fact that this movie is dueling between it wants to look good, saturated well, color graded perfectly, to then other points where it's like, this is shot on a $50 Elgato green screen.
And it's trying to half be a sequel to a movie that came out 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And after Thunderbolts, me and Jacob talked about this many times, but Falcon Winter Soldier should have been Captain America 4. That's a perfect Captain America story there. I would appreciate that, make that Captain America 4. And then I would love a Captain America 5 right now. I won't talk about why Taz, but there's something that happens at the end of Thunderbolts that would make a perfect setup for a Captain America 5.
It sounds like it's a Captain America Civil War 2.
Yes,
kind of,
and it would be it would be such a perfect setup.
I thought Brave New World was going to end in that way, but it didn't.
Yes,
it sounds like we're kind of leading towards Civil War 2, if that,
have that be your Captain America 5 that sets up Avengers Doomsday, being like, okay, we're setting up these Avengers, we're doing this, but there's also this conflict, and you end that movie with that conflict being resolved and all these characters coming together, being like, okay, what's next,
Right, because going into Doomsday, you still don't have a 100% grasp on who the Avengers are.
No. So are we thinking C? Is C kind of where we're vibing with?
I really want to rate it higher, but I think I have to go with C.
I agree with C, unfortunately. Okay, let's try and get through the rest of these rather quickly. Daredevil Born Again. We talked a lot about Daredevil Born Again on a bunch of places.
I think long story short, Born Again tries to live up to the original Daredevil series, doesn't quite hit the same highs, but in that same vein, I still think it is one of the highest quality, best produced Marvel TV projects to date, especially MCU style. But for, again, the sole fact that it, in my opinion, does not reach the same highs as the original series. No. Can't put it in S tier, but I think it's a really solid A tier.
Interesting. For me, it's the definition of a B. I think it's one of the I actually think it's one of the messier Disney Plus shows. I think ever since it came out, it's kind of been lowering on my list, just because I think it's a mess. I think it's every episode is a different tone, a different style, and different vision, and that's not everything there I love, but it doesn't work together for me. So for me, it's a B. It's right in the middle of really, really good stuff that doesn't work, and stuff in the middle as well. How about you, Jake?
So for me, this one definitely has shades of the original that I do really like. You can tell there was a little bit of messiness with the plot because of bits that were left over from the original draft versus what came in later with the rewrites. You can tell where some part of that is there, versus what's old versus what's new. Still think the series had a lot of great dynamics between Matt and Frank and Fisk. I also think Kamar Dallas Reyes as White Tiger was phenomenal in this series. I loved his character. It's sad due to the real life death of the actor that we won't be getting more.
Yeah.
Overall, I think the series starts really good, ends really good. Stuff in the middle that's kind of debatable. I'm gonna say it's an A because that strong stuff is really strong, but the things here and there where I'm like, I don't know how I feel, I'll say A.
Okay. That's 2 A's, 1 B. Thunderbolts. Now, Taz, I obviously need to hear your thoughts on Thunderbolts. I need to hear
I mean, I do have some thoughts. Like, again, I know the general idea of this movie. I know the post-credit scenes of this movie, which is again why I haven't rushed to go see it. It sounds like it's the best movie of the phase. It sounds like it's quality-wise probably one of, if not the best projects of the entire phase. And I'm excited to see it. I very much so am.
It's my
I wish I got to see it before Fantastic Four comes out, but I don't think it'll come out until like August on Disney Plus or something like that.
I don't think you'll need to see, like, obviously there's an ending there.
Yeah, I mean the post-credit scene that everybody's seen.
And I think if you've seen that, like, you're kind of okay. Although I think you'll really enjoy this, and I'll be very, we'll have to kind of go over it when you get to see it again.
Yeah.
Or when you get to see it, we can talk about it then. Yeah, it's one of, I think, the best projects of Phase 5 that's listed here. I think there's one movie I'd personally put above it. Like, I'd personally put Guardians above Thunderbolts for me.
Okay.
Because I think it is such a brilliant movie, but it's also not without some nitpicks. Like, I think especially that, for me personally, I think that second act kind of not fumbles, but it kind of stalls a little bit. Like, it kind of stands in place a little bit. There's stuff in here that I think could have been built upon a little bit more. It could have been, as good as it is, it could have been added to some of these characters and what they're doing. There's something that happens to a specific character that is a little frustrating as fans of said character. Jake knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So, there's little stuff in here, but it's such a brilliant, like, breath of fresh air for the MCU. And this week it recently went on digital, and all the reaction channels are coming out for it, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's so cool to see everyone watching it for the first time, and all the tears and all the laughs and all the cries, and I think it's brought back a real love for the MCU again. Okay, Jake, what's your thoughts on it?
So, I really loved this movie. The themes that it tackled, I won't ruin it too much for Taz, who hasn't seen it. But I think I liked all these characters more in this movie, I think, than I did in previous projects.
I agree with that. Yeah,
that even includes characters that I liked in previous projects, like Yelena and Bucky. I think they are probably at their best here. Also, characters like John Walker and Ghost, who I weren't as hot on before, I definitely like a lot better here. I think Alexei does great with his role in the movie. The villain, just not only the threat of the villain, but the theme that the villain brought with him, I thought really, really worked. And as somebody who could personally relate to the themes that this movie was conveying, it hit me in a lot of different ways. Great soundtrack, great action, great chemistry between the cast. This is it is a top 10 MCU film for me, and it is my favorite of this phase. I would put this film in S tier.
Oh man. You know what? Just for we can have an S tier.
I was gonna say we might have to do a little bit of shifting. It's like at this point, it's like I almost might put Guardians up in S now or something, just to give us an S tier.
Currently, I will say right now, this is my third favorite film in the Multiverse Saga.
It's up. It's up there for me for sure. Like, I have my nitpicks, but if we're talking like exclusively this phase, I think this is one of the better projects of this phase, and I think people really needed a movie like this. Like I know it didn't make the box office blow up or anything, but I think
depressing.
It did worse than Eternals, which breaks my little heart. It really, really does.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It only made like $350 million at the box office with like almost a $200 million budget or whatever.
Oh boy.
Like 180 budget. And but like I also think like for the fans though, like I think it brought back this energy that they were really needing. Like people who were kind of falling out of it watched this, was like, wait, this is what I've been asking. Like this is what I've been wanting. This is what I've been missing from the MCU. So I hopefully that will help like Doomsday and Secret Wars and stuff like that. And obviously we don't have to talk about too much. We literally talked about it for like an hour today. But Ironheart, where placement wise, let's just kind of stick to the placement wise. Where would we put Ironheart? No.
And tier M for Mephisto.
It's not one to go back.
I actually think, as overcrowded as it is, I would put it in A tier.
I agree with you.
I actually really ended up loving the show, and I think in the same vein that I love a redemption arc for a character, and I think that that's where we're headed with Riri eventually. The show redeemed itself within the season, I think. Again, started off fairly slow, and I think I might have liked it more if we had that additional time to sit episode to episode to episode. I think part of the reason was we just got those first 3 episodes dumped on us all at once, and I was kind of like, what am I watching here? And then that back half really found its footing, and I ended up really enjoying this show a lot more than I thought I would. So let's go A tier.
I agree with A tier. Jake, would you agree with A tier, or are you somewhere else?
I mean, so I really liked it more than I thought I did. I don't know if I'd put it in A. Like my personal rating is probably B, but I won't disagree with somebody who says A. It's like, okay, you just like it a little more, but like I'm not gonna say an A rating is wrong.
Yeah.
And kind of my justification for it too is like, think about everything in B, C, D. I would 100% watch Ironheart over any of these other projects.
I agree
any
with that.
day of the week.
Full-heartedly.
Any day of the week.
Is there anything we want to maybe move around? Like S tier is definitely very blank right now. Like is there any of these projects here?
Yeah, I think we could probably throw Guardians up there at least.
Are you okay with that, Jake?
It's your list, Darren. There are more issues I have with this movie than most people, but it's not my list.
I would say my 2 candidates would be Guardians or Deadpool, and I know that again, Deadpool probably can't get up there, but
I'm gonna keep it. Actually, I'm gonna keep it as is, and just have a really long. They're kind of like an F shape happening down here, and then
well, very top. I mean, I think it's
almost
very
looks
telling,
like somebody
though.
shooting a bird.
I think it's very telling of the phase, though, right? It was somewhat of I wouldn't say a middle of the road, but nothing really exceptional about this phase of Marvel. Like, again, we had some standouts. We had our Guardians, we had our Deadpool, we had our Loki and Agatha and Daredevil, and are that kind of surprise underdog with Ironheart. And then Thunderbolts, the movie that, people didn't think was going to be that crazy, but ended up being Marvel's Suicide Squad, for better or for worse, right?
I also thought it was funny we all had S tiers, but we all shot each other's S tiers down, which
yeah.
Yeah,
and the only S tier that we could agree on is the one of the movie that I haven't even seen yet.
Which it probably would have been like, oh, that's an A. Yeah.
But honestly, again, that I don't know what happened. I just got vaporized by Sentry.
I meant to click that one, and
I got vaporized. But yeah, no. So it's funny that again, I think that would be a movie that I would probably rank up there. So
yeah, I'm very excited to hear how you feel on it.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we most certainly have to end this.
Me and Darren gotta go.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
I gotta go to bed.
I apologize. Maybe we should have postponed ranking until
that was
next
fun.
Week.
But
also,
fun.
that's the whole reason Jake was here. I texted him, I was like, "Hey, do you want to do a ranking?" And then I was like, "Actually, we're not doing a ranking."
It's like, hey, can you stick around for like 2.5 hours and then we'll do a ranking?
But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Speed around. Jake, where can we find you? What you're working on? What you got cooking?
So now that I'm back from vacation, I can get a lot of my uploads out, even though like they're going to be coming a little bit later than I wanted. Some of that stuff down there is what I do at the bottom, just from a general sense: Let's Plays, rankings, retro reviews, etc. Some of the stuff coming out on the docket is a 10-year celebration video for Batman Arkham Knight, a retro review for the Batman Begins movie game because it just had a 20th year anniversary. I got my next character costume ranking coming up for games. We had our Iron Man one. Next one up is Deathstroke. Got my Jack and Dexter Let's Play I'm doing right now. And if my audience wants to see it, I am definitely planning to do a movie review for Superman once I've seen it. And the other Arkham rankings that I have coming out, and I think I've named everything. So yeah.
Incredible. Taz,
Nice.
what you got going on this week?
Yeah, youtube.com/ToxicTaz, Ironheart ranking Ironheart review first, then Dexter Resurrection episodes 1 and 2 drop Friday, as well as Superman this weekend. If I don't do a solo review for that, you guys can catch my thoughts right here next week.
Yes.
And I'm sure I will have it by then.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tune back in after credits next Monday. It's going to be our huge, bombastic Dexter episode. We're going to be doing my final thoughts on season 10 and New Bloods, and also we're going to do a deep dive on Resurrections. And then obviously I think we're going to probably go do a little like Superman something. We're at least going to do like non-spoiler or something on Superman. So check that out. And Pipeline this week. It's going to be a day earlier. This Wednesday afternoon, we are going to be doing a kind of catch-up episode on some blockbusters of 2024. I'm not sure quite all what we're going to be talking about. Just depends on what I can get to the theater this week. But we're going to be doing at least Jurassic World Rebirth, Megan 2, and Elio, and then whatever else my co-host wants to talk about that he's seen recently. So it's going to be kind of like a catch-up before Superman, and then when Superman comes out, we can just focus on that for a couple weeks. But yeah, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week. See you on the flip side.